Hello, welcome to the table. We're going to tackle this game, VoidFall. It is in the hotness. There's a lot of people who've covered this game already. I don't necessarily claim I'm going to enhance the world out there, but I do think I am going to be able to provide some value. And that value being that this game is so complicated. I don't know, in terms of rules. So just to put it in perspective, Paul Grogan with gaming rules, his how to play video is like an hour and 15, hour and a half long. That is a tremendously long video with just how to play. And that's with him just gunning through the rules, bing, bing, bing. He doesn't show you how to play or anything. And then he did a solitaire playthrough where he wasn't playing by himself. He had another person who already knew how to play helping him. And then he had the designer in the chat also helping him so he wouldn't screw things up. And he was screwing things up. And of course, between everybody that was involved, they were able to catch it. And I'm by no means throwing any stones. You know, those who live in glass houses don't throw stones. So how is Jeff going to handle this? And what is Jeff bringing to the table? Well, I'm playing this game because I want to play it. And then, I record myself playing the game because this is the Jeff channel. This isn't a YouTube, tutorial and playthrough. I don't ask for likes and subscribes. So let me just get this out of the way. If you're here, what I'm going to show you is a little slowed down version of how to play. I'm not going to just go zing, zing, zing with all the rules. I'm going to show you maybe step by step, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? And I'm also going to screw up because I don't have the designer in my chat room. I don't have somebody from, England who, I think his name was Board Games or something like that. I don't have somebody who's already figured out how to play teaching me. I don't have any of that stuff. It's just me. And yes, I can screw up teaching a game of Monopoly, so I can screw this up just fine. With that said, I hope those who are familiar with me know that I don't want to screw up, and it's not like I try to, it's just it happens. And so here's my commitment to you. Don't watch my channel if you want perfection, because you're not going to find it here. Watch my channel if you want to see somebody figure it out as they go. I have not played this game. This is going to be my first playthrough. You're going to be here with me. We're going to do the solitaire. I'll show you how to find it and I'll explain everything to you. We're going to learn this game as we go. And you're welcome to join me at the table. That's what this is. You're joining me at the table. I'm going to title it that it's a, playthrough, because that's what it is. It's a playthrough. We're going to go over the rules because me explaining the rules to you is the same as explaining the rules myself. Sometimes I'm doing it just to benefit myself. Screw you guys. Now, one other thing, I am using my fancy video thing again, where I'm wireless. So my camera can go anywhere, and I don't have any... and the reason I'm doing this is because I upgraded my computer software. I actually upgraded the computer itself. The software is the same. So now that I have a higher zippy processor, I'm hoping that my wireless camera will work better. Now, in the past, the problems I've run into trying this mode is that the voice starts to crackle, 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 crackle. You'll just hear my voice crackly, or you'll see a lot of stuttering. Like the video just stutters, then stutters, and then stutters. So if you see any of those two things, please help me out. Put it in a comment. Try to tell me where in the video that's happening. And I can go back and try to use the wired mode. For those of you who are familiar with my channel, we've been through this before with the last playthrough of Fantasy Warfighter. I really love this mode. That's why I keep trying to make this happen. Having a wireless camera, connected directly to my computer is amazing. I just can't express that enough. Now, some of you might also be wondering, where is that Warfighter Fantasy? I was down to just the final 2 missions of the playthrough. I got bad news. Somebody fell in love with the game and offered me a price I can't refuse, so I sold it. It's not a game that I wanted to keep. I definitely had my fun, but it wasn't, because of the rules and all the mess with the rules, it was not a game I wanted to keep. And and my logic was, as soon as I put it on the shelf, and 6 months later came back, I would have to relearn all those rules again and go through all the same frustration of how the rule book doesn't answer any of the questions, and I have to go into... I didn't want to do that. So I found somebody else that was willing to do that for the right price, and I took it. I definitely took a loss on the game, but I still think, as far as I'm concerned, I came out ahead by dumping it. So I know this video is about VoidFall. It's not about that, but I know some people are going to be wondering, hey, what happened to that? And it's gone, so I'm not going to have it on my table again. Okay, so this video is going to be introduction and setup, and then the next video we'll start playing, okay? That's how I always do these videos. So, but in case you're new, that's the format. And I do a lot of freeform talking here in the introduction. I try to be as helpful as I can, but sometimes it's just, I'm just saying thoughts. I'm going to speculate on rules that I don't fully understand yet, because I haven't finished reading all the rules yet. So this is going to be a slow, methodical playthrough, because I have to learn. Now, there is a tutorial. We're skipping the tutorial. I don't want to learn through the tutorial. It's going to be hours and hours of nonsense. When GMT does that, I don't enjoy their tutorials either. So we're going to jump into the game. I've played plenty of complicated games. I believe I can pick it up, even though I know I'm going to, like I said, miss a few rules. And I know there's going to be somebody out there that's going to be like, well, that's the whole point of the tutorial. I get it. I'm not even disagreeing with you. I just don't want to play a tutorial. So it's just that. I'm going to just pound my feet. Okay. So how do we make sense of everything that's in front of us? The first thing is I have the deluxe version of this game. I don't know what that means compared to the regular, except I know I have like little stands and miniatures for the ships. Beyond that, I can't tell you what is in the deluxe versus the base, but just want to get that out of the way. And let's go quickly through the components. So first thing is there are a lot of rule books. I'm going to start off with this one. This is a reference guide, which is, I haven't played a game yet, but it's amazing. Because you know how you run into these icons and you're like, what does it mean? It is all in one guide, which happens to be 4 pages. They're double-sided pages, but still, it's 4 pages of iconography. So your first daunting task is, how quickly can you pick up on iconography? That's step 1. But we're going to set this to the side. It's going to be heavily used, for sure. So yeah, we'll do that. And the next one is this. It says start here. And it goes over the rules of play and all that jazz. My biggest gripe with this is it says start here, but to set up the game, you have to start here. So you don't start there. You actually start here, because you can't set up your game unless you have this document. So I guess if you're a person who wants to read the rules without setting up a game, I don't usually do that. I like to set up the rules or set up the game and then go through the rules with the components in front of me so I can see how everything interacts. I'm a very visual person. So to me, this is not where you start. But, to each their own. It's as far as rule books go, it's very well laid out. I have no gripes yet. Obviously, maybe I'll run into a few if we start playing. But here's the part that is pretty awesome about it. I do like how... So the rules are meant to be for... There's 3 ways to play this game. You can play it solitaire, which is what we're going to do. You can do co-op, and then you can do competitive. And it tells you, thematically speaking, there's even an introduction. I think it's in this book. Yeah, there's an introduction here. See where all those graphics are? That explains mythology, or the what's the right word? Just the world. You know, it helps you to realize, you know, there's a whole imagined world that we're going to be a part of, right? That this VoidFall thing is. So this Voidborn is, I didn't read it all. The Voidborn are the bad guys. Let's just put it that way. And there are fallen empires who have already become, like the Voidborn are almost like the Borg. They're going around and empires fall to them, and then, you know, they become a part of the Voidborn. So we are going to be an empire, and then we're going to encounter fallen empires, and then we're going to encounter other empires. So there's a lot of different things going on. As far as chronology goes, there's these little portals that are going to appear, and those portals are going to be where the Voidborn come from. So they come from like another dimension or something like that. And so in the solitaire and co-op games, our primary objective is going to be to fight back the Voidborn and close those portals so they can stop coming. You know, and so I think they're called rifts. So we got to go and deal with these rifts, and that's part of the objective when you're playing solitaire. Now, the competitive version of the game is much, much later in the time chronology. So my apologies if there was a skip there. That was just somebody came to the house and my dog was getting excited, so I had to pause for a bit. But anyways, the big thing here is that the competitive is considered to be like after all those rifts have been closed. The Voidborn are still in the galaxy, but they're a diminishing presence. But they're still a presence that needs to be dealt with. So I think it's pretty cool how they broke it out. Now, as far as the rules go, the rules are like this part here applies to everybody, and you can see it. They're really well labeled. This says co-op solo, so the blue part you only do if you're playing co-op, and then the pink part you only do if you're playing competitive. So the rules read very well in that kind of perspective. There are some decent examples. Jury's still out on whether they have enough. But there is no doubt that, I mean, it's a decent size rule book. This here is the used together with rule book. It's called the compendium. And you can see here, this is the game setup. So we're going to go through this today. And also, like I said, they have the flavor text, right? And that was what I was just trying to, explain. And then as you get further along here, so this is still how to set up the game. Maybe it's in the 20s. Yeah, it's still how to set up the game. Holy cow. Look at all these pages for setting up the game. All right. Now, they do get into some like variable setup, and right here is the tutorial that I was talking about that I'm not too interested in, but here we go. So the game comes with solo scenarios, and so we're going to do first stand, which is the lowest complexity, and we're going to need that because I'm going to screw up the rules, and so we're going to do a low complexity game. But then you can see the complexity increases as you go. So we could pretty much just, go through these scenarios. And yes, there are a lot of scenarios to play. And now you might be wondering, is every scenario going to play exactly the same? Well, the setup is going to be similar, but there's still going to be random events. There's going to be random things. So your game play may not be the same, but the scenario that you're set up in and the situation that you're put in will be the same. Now, as you can see, we have quite a few choices here for which one to do, but anyways, I just wanted to make sure I addressed that. Then for the cooperative scenarios, you can see there's a lot, but that's because this is 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. And then for the competitive, you got the same deal, 2, 3, and 4-player. And that's a whole page worth of stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through some of the components as I'm unboxing the game, explain how to organize some of those, and then, of course, do the game setup. So I do need to pause again, and I will be back, and we'll get that going. Okay, so before we get into the game setup, let's just talk a little bit about, when you unbox the game, what the components are, what they mean, and so forth. Oh, and then one last book I forgot to introduce you to. There is a glossary, which is a very fascinating book. It has every single thing in the game with more detail. So if you're unsure, like this is basically just, like if, for example, you look at an event card and you're like, does it mean this or does it mean that? Like this type of text will actually help clarify a lot of those types of questions. So there's also fallen house cards and various, so for example, we get to play as multiple races in the game. So you can see there's a lot of races to choose from. Now, a particular scenario may only give you a choice between 4 of those races, but what this is showing you is that, so for example, each race has different tracks. Like this is statecraft, I think that's civilization, and I can't remember what that one is. But you move along these tracks and you get these different bonuses as you move along. Well, they vary. So you can see here that House Beltan, Cortazar, Dunlork, and Valnis have these 3 tracks. But then House Asterin has its own unique tracks. And so does Fenrax. So you see like certain houses have their own unique tracks. And the game goes through every single house and you can see in detail like what that particular race or house, I guess I should call it a house instead of a race, does. And then here you can see the, if you pick House Valnis, for example, they have a starting agenda of, H1A, H1B. So you're picking A or B, and it gets into all those details. So this glossary is just a whole bunch of details on everything in the game. It's got, excuse me, it has charts, it has graphs. It's an excellent book. How much of it is necessary, I don't know, but it is excellent. I mean, if every game developer went through this much trouble to document their components, we would have a very glorious industry, that's for sure. So it's well done. The only, like these rule books compare to me to like a GMT series of rule books, which are, the GMT rule books tend to be a little dry to read, but they are excellent. And these, let's see how a playthrough works first. But so far they appear to be excellent, and they're so detailed and so, I don't know, my best way to put it is helpful. The other thing I noticed is that Tabletop Simulator has this game, but all of the player aids and the rule books are missing. So technically, if I grab all these rule books and I move downstairs to where my PC is, I think I can play this game on the PC where, so then the game will set it up for me so I don't have to worry about the components as much. My experience is Tabletop Simulator is really difficult to learn how to play because some of the components are lost in these little bags that they have. And then once you've played the game for real, it makes going and playing on Tabletop Simulator. So you might see me move eventually there just because components are easier to move around. The camera, like right now I'm holding this up so you can read it. I'm dealing with glare issues. When I'm on my computer, I don't have those types of camera issues. So, okay, enough of that. Let's get into the components. First thing you'll notice is that there are player boards. Of course, this is a 4-player game, so anything player related, there's going to be 4 of them. And the way it's meant to work is, for example, if you're this particular house, you can slide this in like so. So as you slide that in all the way, now you've got your House Markalos, and then you can see the civilization track and everything is all into this layered board. So pretty cool concept. I like it. And the only thing that it does is it covers up the back, which has a strategy on how to play this particular house. So obviously that strategy is, you can always pull it out and look at the strategy, but a little bit painful there. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of these. You're only, in a solitaire game, going to use one. But there's a whole bunch for the different scenarios. You might, for example, like House Novaris here, but some scenarios won't even let you have House Novaris as an option. So you are going to be forced to try the different houses. And I couldn't tell you from Adam, which one's better than another at this point. You are going to have to do some assembly. So you have this, which is a series of dials. And then this is meant to keep track of your score. Actually, you hold it this way. And so this is meant to control your influence. So I think you start the game with 10 influence. So it would look like this. You also have another set of dials. And on the back, they're color-coded, so you can line up the colors and the numbers. So you don't get confused on where the dials go. Very well done. I do love that. And then what this is a player board. So this up here is your food. This is how much food production you have. So that would be 1, obviously 0, 1, 2 food production. But see, this is the actual amount of food. So, so this is the number of food factories you have. This is the amount of food you actually produce. So 2 factories only produce 1 food. 1 factory only produces 1 food. So you see that? So the number of factories does not translate to the number of, you have to get to 3 factories in order to produce 2 food, okay? And then this over here is just how many food you actually have. Same thing, but this is energy. And then this is materials. So right here, you got 11 materials warehouses or factories. That's producing 10 actual materials. And it's saying we have 15. So you probably want to reduce that a bit. And then down here is energy credits, or not energy, credits, not energy credits. And credits are like a wild card, and you can see that here. They can be a wild card for food, materials, or energy. There's only one point in the game where you can't use these as a wild card, and you must use these, and that's for upkeep. And we'll get into that later. And then this down here, the blue at the bottom, is science. And they made it darker gray because science is its own resource. You can never interchange these for science. And then again, you got, I don't know what you would call these universities, but you have science warehouses as well. And you produce science. So every player gets one of these. It's going to take you a good half hour to 45 minutes to assemble all this. So good luck with that. This is an agenda board. We're going to put this somewhere, and the setup will explain how this works, but we're going to have cards on the left that are face down and cards on the right that are face up. And then this agenda board is going to allow us to get what's called agendas. Now, agendas, they go on the bottom of your player board. You're going to start with an agenda that comes with your house. So whatever house you pick, they get a default agenda that comes with them. And then you can get additional agendas as you play, and this board's going to facilitate that. In a solitaire or co-op only game, you're going to use this board, which is called the crisis board. This is how basically you deal with the game punishing you for not doing things a certain way. In a competitive game, you do not use this board, but keep it out for a solitaire game. You're going to have this, which is basically your flow game, the flow of the game. So there's going to be an A, B, and C phase, and we're going to do 3 rounds of A, B, and C. Now, B might have like multiple rounds within it, but that's the way it works. Now, there's 2 sides to this. The rulebook will tell you that this little chain link here is for solo and co-op, and then on the other side, you'll see that it's a broken chain. That means competitive. The way that visually for me that's easier to notice is the solo and co-op have spots on the bottom for what's called super cards or hero cards or something like that. But basically, see these 3 spots for cards at the bottom? If you're on the competitive side, there's no spots. There's also other differences that are not worth getting into. Like, you see this little green check mark here, and that green check mark's not there. This is trying to help you with the flow of the game. And when you're playing solitaire, these are crisis cards. That's what that symbol is. So those crisis cards, of course, interact with you in a solo and co-op game, but in a competitive game, you don't have those. But anyways, put it on the correct side, and then you're good to go there. And that'll also get filled in as part of setup. you're going to have these things that look like what do you, fingernail files. So here's what I mean by that. I mean, doesn't that look like you should just be going? Anyways, these are also going to be a part of your game, and they're going to be set up. This is your basic combat board, and what it's trying to show you is how combat works. In this game, combat is very predetermined, meaning that there's no dice rolling. You can calculate whether or not you're going to win before you initiate it, so you can always change your mind, and you're in complete control. It's like Mage Knight. You know, with Mage Knight, if you know what you're up against, you can look at your cards and calculate whether you can win and make a good decision. You can do that here as well. Another one that's like that is Pendragon. Pendragon, a coin game, you can, all the battles are, it's just math. And so that math changes as you get different technologies, like I believe that's a carrier ship, or maybe that's a destroyer. I have to look it up. But as you get different technologies, new things will be added to the combat display, because, right now this is, these are space, defense installations, and then those are not torpedoes, those are corvettes, which is your basic ship. And then as you get better ships, right, you add this to it. So you may not add all these. It all depends on what technologies are going to be in your scenario. And you'll know that in advance, and we'll get into that. These are your glory tokens. Just organize them, and you're going to use a bunch of dice, organize those as well. And beyond that, we've got a lot of other components, but we'll get into what those are. Like you have various cards, these tokens here. So these are installations. That would be producing ships. That is, I can't remember what that is. But anyways, that's a defense installation. So you see how we have these cardboard tokens for this. And then these are the manufactories. So that would be, for example, a materials manufacturer. That's a science manufacturer. The green one there is a food. Yellow one would be energy. And then I think the brown one is credits. So you can see that these are in a bag because you don't use them. So just set them aside. And the reason, I'll show you, so the other thing is you got 4 of these trays. And what they're meant to be, I looked it up, they're meant to be 1 tray for each player. So these are supposed to be player trays. I'm not using them that way. I'm using them as component trays. The other trays are meant to be component trays, but I might fix it. I don't know. Just because the rulebook says it doesn't mean I have to do what it says. But anyways, what you got here is you have these, which are, I forget what they're called, but they're important tokens. And then, I have them actually on both sides. And they're meant to be face down, and you use these to, it's very Mage Knight-like, where these go into various areas, and I think they're bounty tokens is what they're called. And then these cubes are just meant to represent, various things that are on the board. Just keep those off to the side. You're definitely going to need them. We have these cards here, which are technology cards, and these are improved technology cards. So we will definitely be using those. These are meant to be on the player board to show that you're moving along the track. So for our game, we only need 3 of them because we only have 3 tracks. So they would go, for example, there, there, and there. And then, of course, there's enough for 4 players. So you don't need the other ones for a solitaire game. All right, and I'm going to just set these off to the side for now because we're going to slide our thing in first. All right, then put this over as well. So a lot of table space is being consumed by all these components. And then remember I told you we set those other components aside? That's because I got these fancy metal versions of them. And then, again, I don't remember what these are called, but those are important. They're going to be candy that you can earn throughout the game as well. And then the last one here, also, those are the manufacturers, metal ones. They're really nice. I do like them a lot. So we gotta find room on your table for all these components to just be ready and available for you to use. All right, I gotta pause one more time, and then when I am back, we'll get started on the actual, we'll go through the the game setup and go through those steps, and then maybe we can get a game going here. Okay, back. Let's get ready to rock this game. This game looks like it could be tremendously fun. And what does tremendously fun mean? Well, for me, I like a game that is chunky. I like the games that have a lot going on. The playthrough, again, I really love the Gaming Rules video series. I think he does just a fantastic job. Great personality. And so his solo playthrough was like 3 hours long. And I think his 3-player playthrough was maybe 3 to 4. So we're talking, I mean, granted, he's chatting just like I'm chatting to you right now. This is not a trivial game. And it reminds me a lot. So going through these rules and just how many rules there are, there's a lot. It reminds me of D-Day at Omaha Beach. Not in terms of the actual game mechanics, but in terms of like how overwhelming or daunting it is to get into the game. D-Day at Omaha Beach is just a crap ton of rules. And then once you play for a while, it clicks and it's like, oh my gosh, it makes sense. I think this is one of those games. I've watched the Gaming Rules How to Play video. I'm on my 3rd playthrough. Now, mind you, I fall asleep because the dang video is an hour and a half long. I have fallen asleep multiple times watching it. So then I get frustrated because it's like, okay, where was I at that I last remember what he was saying, right? The rules are a bit much, but I still think that this is going to be a game that is going to be treasured. Now, my concern is when there's heavy games like this, when you put it on the shelf for 6 months, what's the chances that when you pull it back off, you're going to want to learn these rules again? That is my concern about a game like this. Because these games are like so much fun to play once you figure it out. But then it's like, gosh darn it, the moment you move on to another game and then try to come back. Because it's, D-Day at Omaha Beach, last time I played it was when I did my video playthrough. And I just looked, that was 4 years ago. I have not played that game for 4 years. How can I not play D-Day at Omaha Beach for 4 years? I go into every solo playthrough Facebook group and talk about how great that game is. It's like one of the best solo games of all time. And yet I haven't played it for 4 years. Why? Oh, because I don't want to go through the rules again. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump in. And so what I'm going to do is obviously we're going to have the player aid in front of us. So I like to have the rules in front of me as well. So that's where I'm competing for space. Over here, we'll put the dial and those things. For example, I'll be the yellow player. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right, so you can see that like all the components are being laid out in a certain way. You can see here, there's these tiles for ships. My copy does not have these tiles. Your copy might. Mine is a little more painful, at least in terms of setting it up. But once it's set up, it's not so bad. Okay, so place the Galactic board on the table. Okay, the Galactic board for step 1, and let me zoom in over here so you can see it, is this thing. It's the thing with the chain link on the corner. So we already went through that, and we got the correct side up. And I'm going to set it over here to the left. I don't want it too far out of the way because we do need to interact with that board. But okay, that's step 1. And then let's see. Create trade token stacks in the 6 spaces to the left. So if you're playing solitaire, 1 token in each of the spaces except the bottommost, leave it empty. Return the remaining 7 to the box. Now, if you're doing 4 players, then all of them go on. What are trade tokens? They are these things right here. So they're saying that 7 tokens go to the box. So if I pull them all out, I should leave behind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The rest of them should be enough to start this game. So let's try it out. Make sure I got all my components. That would be awful if I don't. Okay, so what do they mean by the trade tokens? These are the trade tokens, and they go here on this left side of the board. And what they're saying is we're going to put 1 in every spot, except for the bottom one. Now these trade tokens are going to give us like bonus actions. They also help us to reduce upkeep. They sort of do both. Depending on where they are in the board. So right now, where they are is they're just available for us to pick up. And if I were to pick up a trade token, I always have to grab it from the bottom first. And so let's say I take this trade token, I get to grab this bonus here or this bonus below it. So any of the bonus that's next to it or below it. And then as you can see, it goes up and up and up. And so the trade tokens are something that, I can have them in my hand, but they eventually need to go somewhere. And if I can't put them somewhere, then they end up going back on this board. Or after I use them, they go back on this board. So there's multiple ways they can go back to this board. And then there's multiple ways we can take them off the board. So we'll get into that as we play, but that's just, it's a mechanic that's really cool. And then obviously the higher up in the trade tokens you go, the better the bonus. And having trade tokens is always a good thing. That much I can assure you with the little bit that I know about the rules. Okay, let's go back. We did that. Now in a 4-player game, there will be 2 tokens on each space. So because we're solo, the whole idea is you're supposed to take enough tokens from the bottom that you eventually creep up to the top. Well, in a 4-player game, if everybody's grabbing trade tokens, you need more of them on there. So it'll be 2 tokens in each space, and then I think the very bottom space only has 1 token, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Nope, it would be 2 in each space. I'm wrong. Don't listen to me. Okay, set up the 4 agenda offers. Okay, so what this next piece is, and again, I need more space here. There's not enough space to the left and right of this thing. Where do I want to put this? I want it near us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this down and then just leave this here. I'm going to have cards here. There's going to be a card here, here, and here. So I need space here. I'm going to scoot that up. And then we're going to have cards to the left and right. And I want this right in front of us because we need to be able to read these cards. These are going to be important for us to know. Now, what are those cards? And why do we need to know them? Well, let's get out our cards, our decks of cards here. So these are crisis cards. And then this right here, these are the agenda cards. So see how they have these crowns? And they all have a term. I don't know what the term is. But see, these crown cards, we're going to shuffle. I don't know, loosely shuffle at least, right? And then we're going to put those cards here to the left side. And then we're going to draw the top card and put it over here on the right. And that's available for us to grab. And this is like Ticket to Ride. When you want an agenda card, you can choose any of the 4 that are here, or you could draw from the primary deck and get blind. Now, if you draw blindly, they do allow you to draw 2 and then pick 1. So, if you're pretty confident that you're looking for something specific, I don't know. It's possible that you can draw agenda cards. And then what they do is they give you actions for certain. So we're going to have cards that we play, and those cards are going to basically constitute our action. And then this is 2 different action cards here that you see here on the left. So if I play this action card or that one, then that means I can do this extra action as part of this agenda allows me to do a bonus action. And then I can put the agenda, when I'm done, I can put it in under my player thing, and I get bonuses like this. Here, let me pull this back out. This is a scoring opportunity, and so is that. And then right here, you can see there's a little green plus slash. This means I can score both of these, or just one of them. So these are both scoring opportunities that if I have this underneath my player board, this agenda is now something I can score for the rest of the game. And there's certain places in the game where you would stop and calculate your score. Now, there's a little symbol here, that crown. Your agendas have to be different symbols. So if this is a crown symbol, then none of the other ones, including the one you started the game with, can be a crown. And you can see I have a spot for 4 agendas. And oh, by the way, there's 4 types. So you would have to have one of each type in order to be able to have a tableau of all 4 agendas. Now, there's nothing wrong with having 2 agendas that are crowns. It's just that this one is the one I'm scoring points with. See, that's an action there. And if let's say I had I had another one already on my board, and I played this one, I would get the bonus action, and then I would have to choose, I'm either replacing the one that's on my board, or I'm just going to discard. I have to discard one of them. And it's totally fine, because maybe this action here is worth it to have that agenda. And then this here is upkeep. That little symbol there, that's 2 upkeep. And we'll talk about what that means, but upkeep is not good. It's sort of like the Agricola equivalent of feeding your family. So upkeep, the more tokens you have there, the harder it is. You have to, the more you have to pay to keep your family. And here's the funny thing, is this is where the trade tokens come in. If you have a trade token, you can put it there and cover that up. And then that means that you don't have to pay upkeep to have that card. You still get the bonus points for having the card, and the trade token handles the upkeep for you. Now, there's a reason you're going to spend these trade tokens, which would then expose this. But that's all part of the strategy that I don't have mastered yet. But I'm very eager to try it out, because there's a lot of, everything in this game has pros and cons. And there's a lot of cause and effect going on here. I can hold on to those trade tokens, which will reduce my upkeep. But if I spend my trade tokens, I get bonus actions. So which is better? I mean, in a lot of games, action economy is king, and way more important than reducing upkeep. But is that true for this game? I don't know. So we'll have to find out. So anyways, this goes here. And you might be wondering, well, what on earth is that action? And what does this mean by scoring points? Well, this is where this gets interesting for me. So the first one is, I think what this means is you're going to do an invade on all, you're going to invade a sector from all neighboring sectors. I think it's like an attack action. I'm guessing. Please don't take me to the bank on this one. And what I can do is you have this little sheet here, right? And, it has all the different symbologies. And so we could say, okay, agenda cards, right here, agenda cards. So that action should be on here. And of course it's not. That's already a fail. However, it's under general. Right there, invade. See, I actually am paying attention. So it's an invade action. But anyways, we'll put that here for now. Oh, and then this I'm not as good at. So what this means here is, feels like I'm not getting good focus here. So there we go. Okay, so what that means that flame looking thing is corruption. Corruption is what the Voidborn create. And you can have corrupted population or non-corrupted population. So see how it has a slash below it? So this says for every 3 uncorrupted population, so that times means for every, I'm going to score 3 influence, which is points, victory points. This one over here is an uncorrupted, I don't know what that means. We'd have to look it up. I think it means a track. Let's go to that general section again. Civilization track. So for every uncorrupted civilization track, now mind you, The civilization track are these things here. Let me zoom it back out. Ding, ding, and ding. So this is the civilization track. So I don't know if all three of them, I think all three of them are, or maybe the last one. Well, we'll look that up, I promise. But there can't be any corruption markers on this, is what it's trying to say. So that's straightforward. And then it's showing that symbol there. So yeah, this is like what the game's gonna boil down to, is I'm constantly looking up. So that's tier of track. So you have to get to tier 3. So again, if I'm looking at this, tier 0, 1, 2, 3, right there. So that's going to take a while to get to. But if you have an uncorrupted civilization track at tier 3 or more, that's what the plus sign means, then equals just means it's a one-time thing. You get 4 influence. So it's not for every track, it's just once equals 4. This one's for every 3 population equals 3. Now, I was using this to understand the iconography, but we can also go to the glossary. The glossary has a, and I know I'm like beating this to death, but I just want to help you to understand how you can get better at understanding this game, because this is how I'm getting better at understanding the game, is you go through these little exercises of testing everything out, right? So this thing is called initialization, and it's from the Royal Crown. So you can see the Royal Crown is actually called dominance, right? And then initialization is right here, D7. Gain 4 influence if at least one of your pure civilization track markers is on tier 3 or 4. So I nailed it. Gain 3 influence for each of your pure sectors with 3 or more populations. So there, I got a little bit off. I said for every 3 population. It's for each sector with 3 or more. So this glossary does a fantastic job of giving you the English version of what you're visualizing here. This is just nice for reference. And then I guess, you're eventually going to pick it up and it's going to be real easy to read. But this will give you the no bones about it, definitive way to understand what that card does. And so those agenda cards, of course, are going to be how, you're going to win the game. We have to, in a solo game, you have to outscore the Void, the AI bot. There's going to be, there's these cards in the game. I'm grabbing them right now. There's 3 of them. So you can see there's a gray, orange, and red. Easy, medium, hard. And then if you flip them over, these are points. So the easy bot is going to score 60 points straight up at the end of the game. 100, 140. Now they're going to score more than that, but this is just like a base score. So the easy bot, obviously you don't need to score as many points, but that agenda is how you're going to score points. So obviously you need agenda cards to work with your strategy and your play style to be raking in the points to eventually, it is a beat your own score, but I don't like those kind of games, but the reason why this one intrigues me is it's not just beat your own score. Yeah, the bots have a flat score, you must beat it, yeah, I get all that, but the AI is going to attack you. There's ships that are going to be on the board. Now, granted, they're a little static. They are going to aggressively attack you sometimes. They're not going to play like a full player, but anyways. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set up cards. So there's 3 cycles to the game. So in cycle 1, we're going to have 6 level 1, what we call crisis cards. And then there's level 2, level 3, right? And in an easy game, you can see it never gets to level 3. You're only going to see level 2 cards at most in the crisis deck. And then these are battle cards here. And I don't know what the X is. I'll have to look that up. So this part here is, you see on the medium one, you're going to get to the level 3 cards. So it's going to get a little bit more intense. There's battle cards in every round. And then you can see the special stuff is happening down here. which, like I said, I'll have to look that up because I don't remember what that does. And then, of course, for the hard, you're going to be starting with level 2 cards right from the start. And then, of course, it's going to get a lot of wars. This represents wars. So I'm assuming that means the bots are going to be attacking you. And then this here, they don't look good. Let me just put that way. I think it's we'll look it up. I don't even want to guess. Okay, so that's what this is. There's a crisis deck, and the crisis deck goes on this board we were talking about here earlier. And what's going to happen is a crisis is going to get drawn. It's going to be on the left, and then you're going to have like time to mitigate that card. And if you don't mitigate the card, then it's going to end up on the board, and then you're going to get these penalties that are on the board as the cards accumulate. And then at any point in the game, you can satisfy the condition to remove the card. So these crisis cards are going to be like annoying objectives. Objectives that are going to harm you if you ignore them, and you rarely gain anything by getting rid of them. Although if you get rid of them over here on the left, they do have a bonus. So basically, okay, they're an objective with a bonus that's going to be over here on the left. You're going to have, I think, just one turn to mitigate that objective. And if you don't, then it's going to end up on this board. You can still mitigate the objective, but you can no longer get any bonus for doing so. You're just mitigating it to remove the penalty. Okay? Dan Verson games, there's a lot of DVG games like that where, you get these cards that, for the rest of the game, you're going to get this penalty until you destroy this unit. And it's a cool concept because it works beautifully on the DVG games. We'll see how well it works with this. I like the idea. And then you can see, once again, the 60, 100, 140 is the base score. So what it's showing is how the bots score. So you get a base score based on, whatever difficulty level you choose. Then you're going to get 30 points for, I think that's for rifts that are still, remember I said that there was these dimensional portals, or rifts, if you will. For every one that's not destroyed, they get 30 points at the end of the game. They're going to get 20 points for, I don't remember. I think that's population. That's a good question. What is that? It's saying something that's not, because see the little slash? That's a not. But what is the symbol? It's not a science symbol, even though it looks like it. Oh, it's a safe haven. So for every, I think it's for every level of safe haven that you haven't, you got to move population to safe havens. So they'll get 20 points for that. 20 points for these, I think they're called crisis tokens. I don't know how you earn these, but there's only 3 in the game. And if you get a 4th one, you lose. So these are things that are going to progress you towards losing the game instantly. And, you could lose by not scoring enough, but you can just flat out lose if you gain these tokens. There's only 3 in the game. Like I said, the 4th one is an instant loss. This one, I'd have to look it up. I don't remember what that is. And then, 5 points for technology that's improved. This is 5 points for crisis cards. 3 for, these are fallen houses. So it looks like a banner, but it's slashed. Those are fallen houses. 2 for every corruption. I don't know where. Maybe it's on the space board. And then this looks like 1 for Voidborn population, because that little symbol there is a Voidborn symbol with all the flames. So before we play, I'm going to have this ironed out. I'm just helping you to understand, like, as you're learning this game, this is the kind of stuff you have to deal with, right? It's like, what on earth are all these symbols? But the Paul Grogan video actually goes through this really nicely. I actually need to go watch it again because it's probably better than trying to look it up. All right, so let's get back to setup. For setup, we keep going here. And you can see we got the fists. And I have this is the might agenda. So again, I'm looking at the icon references. And so the icons reference sheet is telling me what each of these cards are. So that's the might agenda. And then we flip it over. And again, this is the bonus action up here. These are the cards you might need to play to be able to get the bonus action. And then here you can see there's 3 scoring opportunities. And these are all pluses, meaning you can do 1 or all 3. And then this one is for a non-corrupted spaceport. And this is a non-corrupted starbase. That's what those are. Those are star bases. And this one here is a farm. So 8 or more farms equals, so I think it's just you have to have 8. And we'll talk about how that works as well. All right, and then this next one is support agenda. So I'm just shuffling off camera here. None of these are shuffled, so that's why they're all just however order they were when they came in the game. So, all right, so support agenda. Oh, how did I screw this up so much? This is up here. This one is at the tippy top. So we'll reveal that one. Again, bonus action. That is a, that's a, oh, what do you call it? The facility. I just had it in the beginning of the video. It's a facility that, like, so the spaceport, the starbase, the, oh my gosh, why am I not remembering? And why is it not in the general iconography? Yeah, so there's so many icons that sometimes it's hard to find it on the sheet. And come on, this is like such an easy one. Installation. It's called an installation. And so yes, the green is the shipyard, the blue is the starbase, and the red one is called sector defense. And then this would be, you get to build one. Now that little, looks like a Band-Aid, right? That one is you have to activate fleet power from inactive to active in order to do that. It's actually 2 different actions. You get to activate fleet power, and then you get to build an installation. That's actually a really nice one. Or it seems nice. I guess I never played. All right, and then this last one is commerce, because it's coins. I'm going to make sure it really says commerce, or am I lying to you? Well, it's wealth. I'm sorry, it's wealth. All right, so shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. We got the wealth here. Goes on the bottom. And then this one, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to try to decipher that. This is like resources, right? I think it's spend 1 resource to get 3 different kind or whatever. We'll have to figure that out. But yeah, it's called the Redemption Directive. And again, your glossary has all that stuff laid out. Now, did we have to go through all that right now? No, I guess not. But the thing is that my understanding of this game is if you want to be good at it and win, you need to know what's available for you here. And the agenda card play is critical. Because the way you score points, everything is going to tailor into your strategy. Like maybe you have a strategy where you're going to build a bunch of spaceports or star bases, right? And you're going to try to turtle or whatever, I don't know. This will help you, right? Because it's going to get you a free installation as an action. And then maybe, you know, well, this here is you need 10 or more upkeep. So that means you need these symbols. There's 2 of them right there. You'll get 6 points for every 10 upkeep you have. So you need to have a large economy because to do upkeep, you have to pay resources. And then here it's non-corrupted resources. So here you need to have a large, and it's an industrial card, right? So you need to have a large industry to score these points. Well, maybe that's, you know, that card's going to help dictate our strategy. And on a different game, we're not going to have that card. We're going to have a different one. And so maybe the strategy we want to do on the next game isn't going to be the same. So anyways, I don't mean to belabor the point. It's just, that's where each game is going to feel different because the agendas are going to be different. Okay, so here you can see sort the agendas, take the top card, place the main combat tile at the top of the play area. All right, so the main combat tile is this. And we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to put it over here. I don't know of a better place to put it. We'll just put it right there. This is like I said, it's really a reference for how battles work. And again, so when you have an invader and a defender, there's an approach that's done first, and then the salvo is done over and over again until the battle's over. So here it's saying for every sector defense, of the defender, they're going to do 1 damage per sector defense. So that's going to be against the invader. So whoever's invading is going to take damage for every sector defense that the defender has. So that happens first before you do anything else, and then your ships don't do anything. But when you get into the salvo, your sector defense doesn't do anything, and then your ships will do 1 damage for each ship that you have. So if you're fighting a sector that has no enemies, but it only has sector defenses, those sector defenses will destroy your ships. And then assuming you have a ship that survives, your ship will then destroy whatever they need to destroy one at a time. So I'm just trying to help you understand the basic idea of how the combat's going to work. So we're going to start off with just a regular combat card. These other combat ones are going to come out based on the technology pool that we draw, and that's going to come later. So let's get to it. Okay, so now we got to create the common supply. Create a face-down draw pile of bounty and reclaim tokens, shuffling them separately. Okay, so the bounty tokens are these things that I was telling you about. They're these things. So I'm going to leave them in the trays. They're more or less face down. I know there's a few that are sticking up here, and I can fix those. So if we need to randomly grab one, we can grab one. And then what was the other one called? It was called reclaim. That is, I didn't remember the name, but that's the term for these. Now, one thing that was confusing for me is this symbol is a reclaim token. There's also a symbol of this, but it's like torn. Those are fallen houses, which are completely different things. So I don't know why they're so similar, but they are. Okay, place glory tokens. Glory tokens are these things, and they are a way to score points as well. In fact, glory tokens are very interesting in terms of, like, you can actually almost like multiply your score with these things. I really love the mechanic. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a game with this exact mechanic. Like, it's not like, it seems pretty innovative with the way the points get scored. But what I did for now is we just got them all in a tray, and then we'll pull them as we need them. And I'm going to, yeah, this perfect. I'm moving some of my trays into my game table. I have shelves that here, I can show you. My game table has shelves here that I use. So I got some tokens here, so if I ever need to draw tokens, I can just grab them from here, and then it frees up some table space so we can do stuff. Okay. Place all fleet tokens next to them, separated by their 6 types. That's these. So we're not going to do anything with those yet, but we will very soon. Create pools of the guild and installation tokens, Voidborn. Okay. Guild and installation tokens are these things. These triangles are the installation tokens. The guilds are, I keep calling them manufactories, but these are guilds. And then the color represents the material that they produce. All right, so guild and installation tokens, Voidborn fleet power cubes. Okay, so the Voidborn cubes are these orange ones. All right, so we just got those off to the side. And what else? Standard population dice. Okay, that's these. I haven't gotten them out yet, but that's those. Actually, let's do it now. All right, done. All right, what else? Fixed population dice and corruption markers. Okay, so here's the next thing. That is a standard population. That's a fixed population. The black die means fixed. That means standard. That's all. You don't need to know anything else at this point. And then we're the yellow player, so we're going to have a yellow population for our home sector. And then we also need This is our yellow player marker for turn order. I don't think it's as important for a solitaire game, but we'll still use it. Okay, each player should place the following set of player components in their personal play area. Put an influence board of your color and set it to 10. And that would be right here. And I set it to 10 already. It's like I knew what I was doing. Take the 9 focus cards showing your color on their face in your hand. So this is another topic. So we got all these cards here. These are focus cards, but there's different types of focus cards. So I have them sorted a certain way. Like this here is, these are what we call house focus cards. So each of these cards, just like this says, replaces temptation. So these are house cards. So if I use a certain card, right here, House Thegwin, House Zenor, House Zenor. So these cards are going to be different somehow than the regular cards. So you always have 9 focus cards, I believe, in your hand. But let's say I choose House Zenor. I'm going to replace some of the basic cards with these cards. That's what it's trying to say. And that brings up another point for setup purposes. The game has these things. And the way they work is they're basically stackable. See, like they have a lid, and then it's just a thing of cards. So House Thegwin or Zenor, for example. So see how this says House Zenor? You're supposed to put those in there, and that represents House Zenor. And then there might be like something else that's unique to them, like technology cards. So you would put the cards in and then put the lid on like that. And then that's how you keep House Zenor together. So all the components that you need for House Zenor would be encased in this. And you can see there's a big stack of them because there's a lot of different houses in the game. And so that's something you can do as part of your setup. Like right now I have them all just in a stack of cards. But that, you can see here, like, I can make one for Thegwin, and then I got, 2 cards here for Shivius, etc. It's a great idea. I just didn't do it yet. So definitely recommend it for your playthrough. I just haven't, bothered. So right now I got Zenor set up a certain way, and I'll put these other cards actually on top just to represent that, and I'm just going to send them off to the side. We don't know which house we're playing as yet, so we'll figure it out as we go. So I hope that makes sense. It's a really cool idea, and there's going to be more stuff. Like there's technologies that only certain houses can have. I think there's technologies only certain houses can have. Anyways, we're gonna. That's why I haven't sorted it out yet. I want to play a game and then say, oh yeah, now I can sort my components this way. All right. Next thing we have. See how it says joint leadership? These are co-op cards. And you can see like the chain link there. So these are all co-op focus cards. And we're not going to use these. Because we're not playing a co-op game. So I'm just going to put those back in the box. Next up, we have, these are event cards. Yeah, let's look at it from this perspective. This is, I think they're called Hero Focus or Legendary Focus. Oh yeah, Heroic. So these cards are going to, we're going to eventually get to the spot in the setup. They're going to go over there on those. So these are important, and we're just going to set them aside for now. All right, and then these are event cards. So we have event for cycle 3, cycle 2, and cycle 1. And I'm just going to go ahead and, now the game scenario itself will tell us which event cards to use. But there's 3 cycles in the game, so we're going to have 1 event for cycle 1, only 1 event for cycle 2. Like the scenario might have 3 cards for us to draw from, but we're only going to use 1 of them. So that also gets into the replayability of each scenario, because you have no guarantee which event you're going to actually get. Okay, so all right. We still haven't got to the point of our hero focus or focus. These are Oh my gosh, we just talked about these. These are the, they were part of the end game objective. They're like Gaia planets is what I'm thinking of because I play Stellaris too much. They're the safe havens. That's what they call them here. So we want to move population here. And that's what these little cube spots are for. So every time we move a population here, we get a bonus that's up here. So moving population to here does things for us. So these safe havens, not all of them are in the game. The scenario will tell you which one to use, but you can see there's 5 of them that come in the game. I don't know if there's a scenario that uses all 5. I didn't look at the scenario book close enough. All right, and then here we go. These are the focus cards. So see how these are all yellow? This is for the yellow player. So there should be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so this is the yellow player's focus cards. We are the yellow player, so these are the cards we are going to use. They should be identical. The color is the only thing that's different. Like I said, when you choose a certain house, you may take out your politics card and replace it with the house politics card. It all depends on the house you choose. And every one of these cards, you can see there's the iconography. That iconography means politics, okay? These are actions. And on a normal turn, you get to do 2 of the 3 actions. Those trade tokens we were talking about let you do a 3rd. So and then this is the cost. So to do this action, I have to pay 1 science. To do this action, I have to pay, and there's a little plus sign there, I have to pay 2 energy plus 1 credit to be able to do this action. And then this action is a plus or. So I can do 1 or both because of the green plus or slash. And then this one down here is you spend 1 credit and then it's another plus or, 2 different actions. Okay, so like I said, you get to do 2 of the 3. You pay a trade token to be able to do all 3. So that's the power. That's what I meant by action economy. And yes, you have 9 of these cards. And when it's your turn, you play any of them that's in your hand. You're going to have a discard pile. There'll be times when you get the cards back. But when you start the game, you're going to have all these cards in your hand. I do think one of them in cycle 1 is gone. And I don't remember which one. I think it might be innovation. I don't remember. But you're going to start the game with 8 of these. And but one of them is going to be in your discard pile. And then there's going to be a mechanism that lets you pull them back from your discard pile. But this is going to drive your actions in the game. Okay? So we'll set those off to the side. And then here you can see I have a pile. And I have them like oriented like, you know. So this one is the red player or maroon. And then we got the blue player, or magenta was the first one. And there's a green player. So I just have them sorted so they're easy to, and then these are going to just go back in the box because we don't need these since we're playing all alone. But if 3 of you want to come over and play this with me, you're more than welcome to. Just give me a call. Bring your own drinks. That's always our rule. We never have anything for people here. Everybody always has to bring their own stuff. But beyond that, and then we usually DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever, the food, and yeah, you can game with me all day. I'm going to West Point in one particular weekend, but I'll be around. All right, let's go. Okay, so there's the 9 focus cards. Put your innovation card in a personal focus card pile. This card cannot be played in cycle 1. So it's a discard pile. So I think I was right. It was the innovation one, wasn't it? Yes. So this card is automatically discarded at the start. So I'm going to go ahead and I got a little pile over here, right? So there's a discard pile, and then there's the cards that are in my hand. I will figure it out later, but I'm just setting them off to the side. Okay. Put a generic colored resource board in front of you. Set all 10 dials to 0. And that's all that's saying is you take one of these, and yeah, I got to set that to 0, 0, 0. Now, this is silly because we're going to set these to non-zero very soon. But for now, I'll do what it says. I think you could skip this step personally. So we're setting everything to 0. And, not surprisingly, when you set something to 0, it produces 0. So we should be good. Okay? So that is done. We'll come back to that later for sure. All right, then we say take 14 fleet power cubes of your color. So this is where having your own personal tray, I guess, would matter. But we were talking about how these are the Voidborn cubes, right? So my cubes are the yellow ones. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some of these are hard to grab. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. It is very important. That is a limited component, and you definitely want to make sure you have all 14, or otherwise you're shortchanging yourself, because those are your fleet power cubes. And you use that to determine how strong you are and all that good stuff. So, okay, let's keep going. Take a glory token showing 2. All right, so you start the game. I just dropped it on the floor. 1 second. Oh. You start the game with a 2 glory token. And so there's going to be certain spots in the game where you add up all the glory tokens you have and you just score that many points. There's ways to upgrade these to like a 2 to a 3 or things like that. And there's also a limit. I think you can only have 4 or 5 of these. You can't have any more than that. And I have to look up like when does that limit get enforced. But there's only so many of these you can have. And so if I got a 4 and a 5 and then 3 2s and a 1, I'm going to get rid of the 1 first. And then, hold on to my 4 and 5, et cetera, et cetera. So right now we start the game with a 2, which means that if we hit the phase where we're counting those, we would score 2 points right now. That's not going to be enough to win, but it's still a nice start. Okay, and then it's got a little asterisk here telling you that these components are different in the Galactic box version of the game. And all that's referring to is, like, for example, these tokens here are not going to be the same. And like I said, I didn't get out the ships yet. We will when we get closer to the real setup. And so what does that mean? So here you can see, here's our focus cards, here's our player mat. They're showing different components here. So we didn't get out our ships. These are the Voidborn cubes. These are the Voidborn corruption markers, if you're wondering what those are. Here's your glory tokens, which are just going to be set aside. These are your bounties and your, I can't remember what they're, claims, I think. This is the combat board. These are your population dice. And then, like I said, you have 1 for each player, but we're only using the yellow one. These are regular population dice. These are fixed population dice. And then you have your manufactories, which I know they called it something else. I already forgot what it's called. And then here's your installations. And then we're going to have a discard pile. We're going to have a resource board along with our resources set to 0. Zooming out a little bit. And then you can see this is the next player and then the next player, right? So this is set up for a 3-player game. And then in here is going to be the scenario itself, which we have to turn to the right page for. And then there's the agenda offer. Now, the one thing it doesn't show is it doesn't show the trade board. I don't see that on here. And it also doesn't show the crisis board, but in our game, we're definitely going to have both of those. Okay, so that's setup. Well, actually, no, it keeps going. Holy buckets. That's right, setup goes for many pages. So now it's getting into setup for co-op. See the blue bar? Setup for solo and co-op. All right, so, boy, how long is this video? I'm at an hour. Okay, well it'll be another hour. Place the crisis board. We did that. Crisis board is that thing right there. Okay, let me zoom in a little so you can read this with me. Place the 3 catastrophe tokens nearby. They exist. Oh, here they are. I found them. These are the catastrophe tokens. Remember how I said you can only earn 3 of them? And if you earn a 4th one, you instantly lose the game. I'm just going to set them over near the crisis board somewhere. My intention is never to earn one. So let's see how well we do. Okay, select the difficulty level, easy, medium, or hard. If this is your first time playing against the Voidborn, we strongly recommend selecting easy. I really was going to do medium because I'm just a jerk that way. But since they strongly recommended I do easy, I'll go ahead and do easy. My attitude is I want to play normal because I want to feel like how hard that game really is. Whereas easy is going to give me a false impression. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and do easy. Sure, why not? So we're going to pick this one. See, look at this one. You got battles in the first round. You got all these symbols at the bottom that you're not even dealing with here. And you go to level 3 crisis. I mean, it's only 40 points. Come on. All right, I will do easy. So this is just really here to help us. So we just got to set it off to the side. Okay. Place a number of Harbinger tokens in the common supply, depending on the number of players. So if you're solo, it's 7 Harbinger tokens. Okay, what are Harbinger tokens, you might be asking? I haven't shown you yet, so that's these things here. So we have a whole tray full of orange stuff. So let me get this lid off. Okay, these are corruption markers. These are void walls, which we'll talk about in a second. They're basically just boundaries. These are harbingers. So they're saying 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There's only 3 left. So solo game doesn't reduce them by that much. So the rest are not going to be used according to that. So I don't know where to put them. I'm just going to go ahead and put them over here on top of the card, the difficulty card for now. Separate the crisis cards into 4 draw decks based on their backs, starting level 1, level 2, level 3, and shuffle each separately. Place these draw decks near the crisis board. Leave space for a discard pile for each deck. So now here's where you can see they're getting into the diagram. So you got the 1, 2, and 3. Well, here 1, 2, and 3. These are the crisis cards themselves. This is more of these are like a draw cards. When you see this symbol here, this is specifically like a solo deck, solo and cooperative. There are certain cards that we're not supposed to include because they're like war cards. So we'll get into, there's a lot to get into here. But it's saying separate the crisis cards into 4 draw decks, level 1, level 2, and level 3. And starting, which is level 0. So these are the starting ones, level 0. There's not a lot. So we'll go ahead and shuffle and shuffle. And it's telling us to put these, well, so we got this this crisis board. So these are going to be affiliated with it. I'm just going to put them here for now because I don't know what exactly it wants me to do with them. And then we have, I got the cards, I'm just sorting them. There we go, a bunch of level 1s. So it's a pretty thick deck compared to the 0s. And I'm gonna just do a loose shuffle. It's almost like I know so little about the game, I could not shuffle these at all and just go with whatever way the manufacturer made them, and it would be just as fine. But I'll shuffle them lightly. And then here's number 2. So number 2 is also a very thick deck. And yeah, they're all about equal size, 2 and 3. So again, doing some loose shuffle. These cards are not the nicest quality. They look like they would start to get, if you shuffle them too much, they're going to start to get frayed. But they're not the worst either. I mean, they're in the middle. They're in the middle, but middle means you may want to sleeve them. The problem with sleeving is then they won't fit in any of these, because this game is full of a bunch of trays, right? They have trays for everything, and then the moment you sleeve them, they don't fit in the trays anymore. That's the drawback to them over-engineering the trays, which I believe they did. They over-engineered the trays. All right, so find the starting crisis cards. On easy difficulty, do not draw starting crisis cards. Return them all to the box. I already want to do medium difficulty. So that's what that means. So right there, on easy difficulty. So what it's saying then is that none of these level 0 cards are going to be used. But let's read what would happen. On medium and hard, randomly select 2 and randomly place 1 face up on the leftmost position of economic crisis row. Oh, I see. So what it's saying is, if you're playing on medium or hard, you're going to have 2 of these level 0 cards. 1 here and 1 there. Now remember how I told you, every turn you get a new card, you have until the end of your turn to mitigate it, and if you don't, then you get penalized by putting it on this board, and they're going to shift over to the right as more and more of them get added. So in a medium or hard difficulty game, they're going to already be on the board at the start of the game. So that is harder. There's no arguing with that. But I did choose easy, so I will take them out. And I'm just going to have to remember in my noggin when I brag about how easy this game is, that is already significantly harder. All right, I need to get some caffeine, so I'll be right back. Okay, let's keep her going here. All right, so find the alert cards. Now the alert cards are these things here. I do have them. They're over here in one of my trays. These are the alert cards. Now, there's war cards, and then there's cards with numbers on them. And you can see, like, so basically we're going to build a deck to match this. So for the first cycle, we're going to have 6 level 1 cards and no war cards. That's what it's going to tell us, but let's verify that. Take all the situation cards and place them in 3 separate face-up stacks. Don't shuffle them next to the crisis. Then return 4 war cards that do not show the icon of your chosen difficulty to the box. Oh, so these are the 4 that have the easy icons, right? Because they're gray. And then you can see we're sharing 2 of them with the medium difficulty. And then you can see there's 2 medium and hards. And then there's the hards. Oh, very cool. So these 4 get returned to the box. That much I didn't know. So this is why you read the rules. And then the rest is just simply saying, hey, the 1s get separated from the 2s, get separated from the 3s. So we'll do that, no problem. Okay. And then these war cards are also off to the side as well. All right, so then it says, shuffle the remaining 4 war cards and place them face down. Yep. So of the 4 that we have, we're going to just shuffle them. All right, create the alert deck using the difficulty setup aid card. Take the required amount of level 1, level 2, and level 3, and flip them face down. Draw the required amount of war cards, and shuffle them together with the situation cards, and then place the alert deck face down close to the crisis board. So that's what I was getting at. So right here, this says 6 level 1. So you just take 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually all of the level 1 cards that are in the game. I mean, you could shuffle them up, but they literally all say 1. There are no war cards at this point. And then you put them next to the board. I'm going to just go ahead and put them right up here. It's a stretch for me to reach, but this is a table hog, this game, that's for sure. Okay, so we finished this page. Now let's move on to the next page. So here it says, if playing a 2, 3, or 4-player game, shuffle all joint focus cards together. The joint focus cards were, remember we were talking about the co-op thing. I guess you could use them even if it's a competitive, which is nice to know. So it wasn't just co-op. If playing a solo game, shuffle all the heroic cards together and place it next to the board, return all the joint to the box. Now, I already put the joint ones back in the box, but the heroic cards we do still have. And I will shuffle those while I read the next one. Draw 3 joint or heroic cards and place them below. Oh yeah, so here we go. This is not competitive because this blue bar means co-op or solo. I don't know why I didn't catch that. So yes, it's the joint focus is for co-op. And then of course for solo, we're using heroic focus. So I just did a shuffle. And then what it's basically asking us to do is I got to stand up a little because these are starting to stretch my table a bit. But we're basically going to reveal 1, 2, 3, and then the rest of the cards just go off to the side. And we're going to play 3 cycles. So cycle 1, we're going to have 3 cards, and there's 9 total cards here. So we're eventually going to go through all these cards. These are upgraded actions, if you will. So we have for example, a conquest action. This one is a heroic conquest action, which can replace our action card. It will have upgraded effects, if you will, but it will also have upgraded costs, because remember you have to pay. So you're going to pay to get those bonuses, but those are the 3 bonuses that are available to us in cycle 1. Okay. If you revealed the innovation, draw a replacement. That's true, because the innovation is not available in the first round. We did not, so we're okay there. If in a solo game you reveal a heroic focus card that matches a focus card your house does not have, for example, you reveal reinforcement while playing as a house Fenrix, return the card and draw a replacement. Well, we don't know what house we have yet, so we'll have to deal with that later. Okay, so then scenario setup, and here we're going to get into the sector tiles and all that jazz, which is really funny because we got to pick our scenario first before we do this. And I don't think it's very hard. We said we're going to do that scenario that's the solo easiest mode. And you can see it's getting into tutorial stuff now, which, yeah, we're not going to worry about this tutorial. So let's jump to our scenario here. Well, see, and it's actually, this is where it gets wonky, right? So you have tutorial that's just written in these italics, and then the instructions actually keep going. And yeah, so this is actually explaining how to read the scenario book. So place all sectors, place void storms. Yeah, this is actually stuff we need to do, but it's telling us how to do the scenario. So some sectors will show a flag, and it's like a torn flag instead of a population. But these are fallen house sectors. Keep them empty until step 13, and you just keep going and going and going. This is going to require a lot of bouncing back and forth because I can't follow these steps until we pick our scenario. And that's the unfortunate part about this. So let's go ahead and pick our scenario then. Then here it's even talking about, like, as we keep going, it's going to get to, this here is the house setup. So now we get to choose our house, and then we got to set that up. There's a lot to this game, folks. The setup is not a trivial thing. Look at that. It just keeps going. And then this is the tutorial right here. Okay, so all that stuff back there is actually real setup. But let's pick our scenario first, and then we'll go back, and I'm gonna use my little resource thing, and we're gonna go back to the page that we were on, and then we're gonna continue from there, because I'm gonna have to flip back and forth on the book. Okay, so we're doing the scenario first stand right here. So lowest complexity on easy, and it's saying the reference number is CO11. I don't know what that means. Page 26. So page 26 is just one page over. So here we go. First stand. All the citizens of Empire who rejected the dark prophecies of the Novarchs were surprised by a sudden opening of the rifts and the coming of the Voidborn. Many of the proud and glorious great houses fell into disarray and capitulated to the Voidborn's corrupted puppets. But the forces of the last remaining house remained to stop the spreading of the corruption and drove the evil back to the rifts. It is a time to sever the ties with the Dominium once and for all. Okay. So a couple of things here. It has a layout that we have to do, and then it has the safe havens at the bottom, and you can see there's 2 of them. And so remember I showed you there was 5 tiles. It looks like we have this one, and also the one below it here, that one. So those are the 2 safe havens, and I think all you have to do is just set them off to the side at the moment. They don't actually go on the board or anything. They are things that you want to eventually move your population to, because obviously they're safe havens. They're, you know, in every zombie movie, that's the fort that has no zombies and has the ammunition and weapons and supplies. All right, so the rest is we're supposed to read this gobbledygook, which, by the way, I actually mostly know how to read. But basically, so you can see here, these purple tiles are regular tiles. Then you have a red, or like a dark, okay, maybe these are blue, right? Those are more blue. This purple tile is an upgraded sector. And then that is your home sector right there. And then these here are your void walls, which is basically just barriers. So basically it means you can't move from this sector to that sector. That's impossible. You would have to go around. And then a lot of the symbology here is representing population and other things. So, okay, let's dive in. First thing we want to do is look at the symbol on this sucker. And I'm zoomed in as much as I can. I can't actually see the symbol through the camera. There we go. So that looks like a little spider. See that? Or maybe a crab. That's what we're going to look for. All right, so how does this work? Well, the game has tons and tons of tiles, and they're layered boards, which are awesome. So on one side, these are just normal sector tiles, and they're all identical. I mean, you might see different graphics, but they're identical. There's an upkeep if you have stuff in here. I mean, this is just graphics, but that symbol shows that these are normal sector tiles. That is a home sector tile right there. And I don't know which home sector tile we're going to use, but I'm going to set that aside. And then, like I said, but if you flip these over, they are now special tiles. And right there, see that? That little crab-looking thing? This is a void rift, actually. That's what it is. So this is the tile that they're asking us to use. So that's the special one. And then what it's saying is since all of these are regular blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you just need to grab 8 of any tile and use the regular side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's lots and lots of tiles, folks. And we got 6, 7. There's another home tile, another home tile, and then 8. So And here's the fourth home tile. And then here are more. So this is one of the reasons why I love the wireless. So I can swing you around here to my left. This is the tray that comes with the game. And you can see that there's another set of tiles here. And look at that, there's another one of those rift tiles, right? So these are special, and then like I said, you flip them over, they're all the normal. So we got another whole stack over there, and we got another whole stack here. There's a crap load of tiles in this game. Since this game doesn't require the special side, it's real easy. You just grab any 8 like this, and I'm just gonna set them over here. And then these home ones, I gotta figure out which one we use for us. And then of course, that's the special one. I'm gonna set that over to the side. And that's the scenario. So we gotta build this now on our game table board. And once we do, then we can collapse the components. Like I can maybe move those closer and move these closer. I left a lot of room in the middle because I just didn't know how much space we needed. And then I also like room for the instructions. So obviously this is gonna be a small scenario because it's meant to be the very first one most people play, and it makes sense. So, knowing what we know now, I'm going to put our marker here and then flip back. So let's see what it's telling us to do next. All right, so here you could see it's getting into, so you got home sectors. You got home icon with the red flag and house crest. So let's see here. Oh yeah, so this is a regular home. See that? That's a regular home. And then this is a home with that house crest. So that house crest probably goes with a particular race. Wow, it's the first one, no. So here you can see the Marcalos has that house right there. This one's not quite the same. It's it looks like a jar on top of a tack, whereas this is more like a star on top of a tack. So if I go through, I don't even, like some of these houses don't even have those symbols. But you know what? That just means that Marcotte is one of the ones that is using a special tile, I bet. Oh, I see. Yeah, never mind. I'm getting there. I'm sometimes slow on the uptake. I think this one's it. So Cortozar. So see that little symbol there? It looks like a shield with some line, like it's like a shield with hair. And then it's on top of a tack. There it is. Or no, that's upside down. Never mind, I didn't find it yet. That's upside down. That's not hair. It's upside down hair. Let's see. Here it is, Asteran. It's Asteran. All right. There we go. So that and that. So I'm assuming that if you pick this house here, you get a special tile. So this is your planet. You get the special planet tile. Otherwise, you get a regular home planet tile. That's my assumption. So let's keep going. We can keep going. So yeah, so you get your special home sector, home icon with red flag and house crest, standard home icon, special sector, unique sector type icon. All right, we did all that. because you will select houses later, use the standard side of home sector tiles when building the map. So there you go. As you play the game, I'm sure you're going to figure out which houses have the special tiles. And you can tell right now, like we figured out this was Asteran. The other three, right there's the Markelos, right? The first one we looked at. And then there's two more right there. So whoever has that symbol and that symbol, those houses start with special home worlds. Everybody else starts with the basic. So that alone is interesting to me because it makes the different houses so much different in terms of play. But yeah, I didn't actually look to see what houses are in our scenario. So let's keep going. What houses are in our scenario? Let's go back. It doesn't say. Normally the scenario tells you what houses are, like it tells you the safe havens here. But if you go far enough, actually none of these are. What's going on? I would swear the scenario said, well, like right here, this is like a PvP one, but right there, there's the fallen houses, and then these are, oh, they give you recommended houses. See that? So those are the houses they recommend you play. I see. So I guess we could play any house we want in this one. Interesting. I thought for sure scenarios had specific houses for them, but that's all right. That's going to give me analysis paralysis like no tomorrow. All right, let's keep going. The remaining 26 tiles are two-sided. You will only need standard home sectors and standard sectors to, oh, that's for the tutorial. We're not going to read that. Select the scenario, find a summary. It'll even tell you the 8 technologies, etc., which we don't have in this situation. So then it's saying to lay out the map. And so let's get into what this is. So here you can see, like I said, the blue versus, and then here they're showing actual components side by side. So, all sector tiles get in a grid. The orientation relative to each other has no effect. Yeah, so let's take a shot at this. Place the Harbinger tokens on the edge as indicated. All right, so let's build the map first, and then we'll go through those steps. All right, I'm going to need to, and I apologize if this is like too slow for some of you, but I think this is like the challenge everybody's going to go through in their first game, so that's why I think it deserves going slow. And if you want something that's like super fast, just like I said, Gaming Rules by Paul Grogan is like awesome. Just do that and you're done. I think this, like I said, my only niche that I can offer to the world is that I'm taking what he explained and doing it much slower so people can understand all the steps. So we're gonna start here with this guy and like just set him up there. And then you can see there's going to be 3 tiles below it. And so we're just going to take, 1, 2, and then I got to move my instruction booklet. And you can see there's actually no room. So I'm going to push this up and make this 3. Now, one thing, they said that relative to each other, the orientation doesn't matter. But I think it does from the perspective. These are your installations and these are your manufactories. And I know I'm using the wrong word, but I like them oriented this way so I could see, top to bottom. But anyways, and then the next set of 3 is right here. So 1, 2, these are really large tiles, much larger than the YouTube video makes it seem. And remember, I said that there's a tabletop simulator that will do all this. And then there's 2 here, like so. Okay? And then what it's saying to do next is you take the void walls and I know there's a glare, my apologies. There's a void wall here and here, and then one there. So you just put that there, and all this represents is it's a wall. You can't go through it. And of course, as we bump the tiles and stuff, that wall's gonna fall off, but it's okay. That's what we're gonna do. And then I'm gonna glance back. I already lost my placeholder. So now it's saying to place the Harbinger tokens on the edge if there are any. And so these Harbinger tokens in this game are not on the edge. In fact, so what you're gonna see here is you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So those Harbinger tokens are actually on the tiles themselves. Sometimes you'll see them on the edge. I'm looking for a scenario where that actually is true so I can show you. None of these co-op ones have them on the edge. You know what? I bet they're on the edge in the PvP. Let me jump to a PvP one. Yep, sure enough. So right here, see there's one that's on the edge there. I don't want to lose my spot. Here we go. Now I got my other hand back right here. Okay, so like we said, there's 4 of them. So I don't know, I'm just going to set them 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, these things are not, from my understanding, they're not very good. Meaning that if we conquer those sectors, those Harbingers are going to do things. What things are they going to do? I don't remember. But anyways, okay, so let's keep going. Next it says, for each sector with an indicated population value, place a standard die on it and a corruption marker under the die wherever indicated. And some populations will be fixed or have none. Use a fixed population die or no die on those sectors, respectively. And then remember I said that they're the fallen house thing. Okay. So what does population mean? Here, let me show you. So here you see a die. I'm gonna have to look closer. Is that a black die or a purple die? But you can see there's 3 of them. So that means you're gonna do 3 pips on that particular die. This is 3 pips. And then you see the little flamey thing underneath it that looks like a meteor that's going to the left. That means it's corrupted population. So all of these sectors have population and they're all corrupted. Now this one has nothing because when we start the game and we pick our house, the house will tell us what goes here and what goes there. And that depends on the house we choose. So because we're going to start the game owning these 2 sectors. And then this one here you can see has no population at all. And we'll have to set that up accordingly. But it has a fallen house. See that? So the fallen house card will show you how much population they have. All right, so let's start with, I got to determine, is that a black die or a regular die? Because I'm having issues with my eyesight here. And black versus purple looks very similar, if you ask me. You know what? I'm completely wrong. The thing I just pointed out to you, those are Voidborn fleet tokens. My apologies. That's Voidborn fleet tokens. That is not population. The population, I don't know why I'm smoking. The population is the die there. So there's a 4 pips. I don't know why. So scratch what I just said. My deepest apologies. And yeah, those look purple to me. So we're going to do purple dice on all these. And I'm going to put the camera down so you can see the sectors. And I'm just going to read to you. Like, so for example, this one has no population. But the one below it is going to have a 2. So you take your die and set it to a 2. But before you do that, you're going to grab a corruption marker. And what you do is you put the die in there. and then that goes here to show it's a 2 population area. And then the next one is going to be 4, and all of these are corrupt. Then the next one's 4, also corrupt. Three, another 3, and a 2. Now, the population matters. And I'm going to explain this now, even though we'll run into it again later. If a sector has these factories, so you can, like, let's say you have one here. This is a science factory. And this number is a 3, then that means you have 3 science factories. And so if this number ever became a 4, then you have 4 science factories. And that's when you go into your dial, you adjust your dial on how many factories you have. And so you can, like, if I got, 2 of these like that, now I have 6 factories. So it's very important to have those population things are like multipliers for your factories. It's a very big deal. Now, the fact that they're corrupted will affect your ability to score points, because usually you only score points if they're not corrupted. But even if they're corrupted, you still produce goods. So that population will still help your factories to produce goods. It just, you may not produce points. So that's something to keep in mind. So we're going to have to do various things to remove corruption. But at the same time, the population itself is valuable regardless of whether it has production or not. Or corruption, I meant to say. Okay, so let's keep going. So I incorrectly stated that those things were population, but what that meant was, what I was supposed to say is those are Voidborn fleets. So I'm looking for, where did I put my fleet tiles? And I think they're over. Where did I? Oh, here they are. They're over here to the right. So let me open another tray. Okay, so the game has, the Voidborn fleets are basically corvettes. So these are all Voidborn fleets. And I need to pause real quick, and I'll come right back and I'll explain how that works. Okay, voila. You can see a fully assembled fleet there. So let's get back to how does this work? So first thing, this particular tile has 3 ships, right? And then the one below it only has 1 ship. And then that one has 3 ships, right? So I'm going to look at these off camera, but just wanted to give you a picture of what we're building here. And so this first one is already fully assembled, but it's missing its cubes. So what the game does is it comes with this and one of these. And so then you got to pick this thing up and you look for the little slot there, and then the tinier piece goes in. Sometimes I get confused on, like, because there's an orientation, and then you look here and there's a notch, and then this has a notch, and you got to line up the notches, and then it plugs in. It's not too bad, and actually, if you can see there, it like holds itself really well. A big gripe I have with some components, I'm looking at you, Fantasy Flight Games. Some of these, you pick them up and, this falls out all the time. It's relatively stable. Is it possible this will fall apart? Sure. And then what makes it even worse is, like, the game is meant for you to tear this down and then reassemble every single scenario. So I'm not a big fan of that piece. I would like to assemble these once and then be done, but it is what it is. So how do you represent 3 of them? You don't put 3 on, you just do these cubes at the bottom. So that means there's 3 ships. That's what that means. And so then you just put it on the tile up here, and voila, you got your 3 ships. And then this one has only 1 ship, and voila, there you go. There's a lot of orange in this game, and it looks like when I'm looking at the camera, it looks like it all blends in quite a lot. And those cubes are actually difficult to see, but you'll have to let me know what your thoughts are there. And then we keep going, assembling, and so, you know, I'm just gonna take some more pieces, and we gotta build the rest of the fleet. I'll spare you the trouble, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video and I'll resume when I'm done. Okay, I am done. You should see all the fleets out, and you know, the cubes of course represent how many there are, and that should reflect what I have on here. This is the kind of stuff Jeff makes mistakes with. So then we keep going. I already know that how to set up some of this other stuff, but I'm gonna follow the instructions to make sure I don't miss any steps. That's the key thing when you're first learning a game, right? So now this next section is place any of these in each sector if indicated. Okay, so we're gonna get into like a whole wild mishmash of stuff. Some special sectors have pre-printed sector defenses on them. The setup diagrams are showing additional. Okay, yeah, that's another thing that's worth pointing out. So like, for example, this one here has a sector defense on it. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. That's a sector defense symbol. If that tile had one pre-printed on it, that's telling you to put another one on, not to count the one that's already pre-printed. This particular tile doesn't have anything pre-printed on it because these are all generic tiles, but you know which one does is the one way up at the top there. See the rift one? That has a pre-printed sector defense in the top left corner. Now, if we look at our scenario here, there's nothing else additional to add. So that pre-printed sector defense is the only sector defense it's going to have. Here you can see there's one here and one there, and that's it. So two of those are coming out. And let me see. Oh, so here's where we're actually supposed to put out the fleets. Sector defense tokens and installation phases. So, like I said, there's going to be 2 of them. So let me grab from our tray here. So that's what these are, right? So we just put one, and it's always in the leftmost side first. So one there and one up here. You always go left to right when you're filling these in. And the reason being is the rightmost one usually has penalties. And so if you conquer the sector, those installations will get destroyed, but there are technologies that'll let you preserve them and they don't get destroyed. And then they actually become yours. So left to right for everything. If they're pre-printed, they may not be left to right, but that's okay. The pre-printed ones actually, here's a good example of a pre-printed one. The home sector. So the home sector has a pre-printed spaceport for building ships. And this is the special side. Even on the regular side, see, they have one. The interesting thing is look, the special home sector lets you put in additional installations. The regular home sector has no spot for additional installations. Very interesting. I don't know what the impact is, but it is interesting. So, okay, glory tokens, as indicated on the map. So, I'm not going to bore you here. The glory tokens are printed on the scenario, and so I'm just going to grab the ones. And so, for example, this one here has a 4, and then it's a 2 and a 2. So, a 2 on this one, and a 2 on that one. Oop, that's a 1. So the glory tokens, of course, you get those for defeating the sector. This one has a 1 3. And then right underneath the camera is a 1 that's going to go to that sector. And then a 1 goes on the top left here. Now, obviously I've never played this game yet, but it seems like, you know, from the playthrough that I was watching with gaming rules, the glory tokens are inversely proportional with how easy it is to defeat the sector, or sometimes, you know, sometimes they're like, it's like, for example, that one's worth 4. That's also on your way to the final target. Like it's definitely the juicy one you want to get, but guess what? It has a defense installation there. This one also has a defense installation, and see, it has a 3. Everything else is lower than a 4 or a 3, but they also don't have as many defenses. And so that's the thing. So the glory tokens seem to be proportional to how difficult it is to take that particular area. You know, this one down here has a 2 because there's 2 fleets. That one also has 2 fleets, and it has a 2. You know, this one has no fleet at all, and it's just a 1. Although that one actually does have fleets, it's just that it's a fallen, so we'll have to take care of that later. Okay, randomly select face-down bounty tokens in the middle of the sector. Okay, again, so now it's looking for bounty tokens, which bounty tokens are this symbol right here. And looking at our scenario, once again, let's see. We have 2. 1 in this sector. And you can see for how big these tiles are, this is filling up a lot. And then 1 down here in this sector. Those bounty tokens are just juicy goodness, at least my understanding. They're all good. And then some of these have the other token type. So for example, this one here has 2 of these little banner tokens. I can't remember what they're called. And then so does this one up here. So we'll just lay those in. And I'm sure that's next on a reclaim tokens is what they're called. Reclaim. Harbinger tokens in the middle. Okay, we took care of that. So we have those 4 Harbinger tokens. Return in the unused sector and Voidstorm tokens to the box. Done. And then I'm just going through. Yeah, it's getting things ready for a tutorial. We're not worried about the tutorial at this point. Select the Galactic event cards for your selected scenario based on their event tag in the upper left corner of the card. Ooh. Okay, so this doesn't have a Galactic event tag, but I think, let me put the camera down. If we go to like a competitive one, right here, see how it says A, D, and F? That's what they're talking about. So you would grab all the cards with an A, D, or F on them. But what the rulebook says here is that for solo or co-op, you only select the ones with a T. So this is why we're going step by step, folks. So these event cards here, right here, you can see there's an A, B, C, 1D, E, F, G. Well, hold on. Yeah, so that's a T. Well, that's the only one. So we don't use any of these other ones? Oh, it says select all Galactic event cards except the one showing T. So this is the only one we don't select. All right, so we take all these, and I think we shuffle them, right? So it's saying flip all selected cards face down, sort them by their cycle number, form 3 separate face down draw decks from their below the Galactic board. You'll have 1 card in each deck in a regular competitive game. There are 3 cards in each, and in a regular, there are 10 in each. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. So we got 10 in a cooperative or solo game. In a regular competitive game, there are 3 cards in each. Oh, for the tutorial, there's only going to be 1 card. Got it. Shuffle all 3 sorted decks separately. Yeah, so we're going to shuffle them, and apparently this is the only one we don't use. That's crazy. But just going to make room over here. So off to the edge of the table here, I just put a spot there. So this other card I'm going to return back in the box. And then for cycle 2 and cycle 3, we got to do the same thing. And again, it's just going to be the T that's removed. Everything else. So what does this mean? What this tells me is there's going to be a lot of variety in your solo and co-op games, because these event cards, they dictate a lot of like what happens when you play. And if you're playing a competitive game, there's going to be only 3 in each deck. So if you played that scenario multiple times, you're going to have 3 times 3 times 3, or 3 to the third, which is what, 27 possible scenario combinations. Here, with this being 10 by 10 by 10, that's 10 to the third. So, gosh, that's 1,000. There's 1,000 possible combinations here. Is that right? 10 times 10 is 100 times 10 is 1,000. Yeah. There's a lot of cards, folks. Now, just because there's 1,000 combinations doesn't mean it's going to be 1,000 ways of fun, but still, you get the idea. So the chances of drawing the same 3 cards from all these is very low. So, okay, very interesting. All but 1 card is used. Okay, now it says cooperative and solo scenarios show multiple safe haven tiles. They come in sizes. Place the indicated tiles next to the map and return to the nest of the box. So I actually have these right here. We can put them, I think we have room to put them up here. So I'll do that, like so. All right, and then find all 14 fallen house cards. All players decide which houses they wish to play with. Put the fallen house cards corresponding to these houses back to the box. Form a face-down draw deck from the remaining cards, and then draw 4. I see. So what it's saying is, so these are all the houses in the game, right? So for a particular scenario, you can play as Cortazar, or you can have Cortazar be the fallen house. So it's not like the fallen houses are a different set of houses than the ones you can play. They're one and the same. So the players need to pick which house they're going to be in a solo or co-op, and then you need to, so let's say we chose to be Cortazar, then we're going to remove the Cortazar card from the fallen house deck, because we can't have them be the fallen house, because that's who we are. That's all it's trying to say. Now, I need to find my fallen house deck. Where the heck did I put it? I have my technology deck. Found that. I have my improved technology deck. Where did I put the fallen house deck? I know I saw it earlier. Whew. Okay, I'm going to pause while I go find this thing. All right, it is found. It is found. Okay, so the fallen event deck is, or fallen house deck is this. And again, it's just a matter of, you're shuffling and you draw 4 fallen house cards. Check all drawn cards for cracked glass effect on the illustration. Count the total number of cards with cracked glass icon. If no cards have cracked glass, then discard the last drawn and draw a new one until you do have. If all 4 have cracked glass, then discard the last and draw a new one without it. Oh, so the cracked glass is this. That's the effect. So you need to have at least 1 with this. And it's basically saying if you draw 4 and there isn't 1 with it, then you have to discard the last one and keep drawing until you get 1. Or if you have all cracked glass, then you need to discard and draw until you have 1 that's not. Very interesting. Okay, so it says at the end of this process, you have selected exactly 4 fallen houses. At least one of them at most must have cracked glass on them. Correct. Alternatively, you may skip this process and agree on the 4 fallen houses together. In this case, be sure to still select at least 1 and no more than 3 fallen house cards with cracked glass. Fair enough. Read the technologies in the middle of the 4 chosen fallen house cards. These will be the 8 technologies in your scenario in the next setup. Okay. So here's the thing. When you're playing PvP, the scenario or the technologies get chosen at random for the scenario. But here, the fallen houses dictate what technologies are going to be. You see how there's 2 technologies written on each card? So if you're going to have 4 cards, let's say these are the 4 we draw. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8 technologies. These 8 technologies are then going to be in the technology pool, meaning that in the game that we're going to play, we get to choose from those technologies. None of these other technologies like cloning and destroyers are available in the game. Destroyers are an upgraded ship compared to the Corvette. So I won't be able to play with destroyers in our game unless I have House Xenor either be the house that I play as, or it's got to be one of the fallen houses that we draw. Does that make sense? And you're not able to answer, so I don't know why I bothered asking. But that's more or less how it goes. Since I've never played this before, I don't know one house from anything. I'm just going to choose these 4. Let me take a look here. Yeah, so we're going to get torpedoes and star bases in the game, which will be cool. Energy cells, orbital docks, data refinery and targeting, escape pods, and shields. I think that's a good variety of things. So these will be the 4. Now, one of these 4 is actually going to be on the board. Only one actually goes on the board, but the point of this exercise is to pick the technologies that are going to be in our technology pool of the game, if you will. All right. That means from the rest of these, I can choose who we are going to be. So I could, like I said, I could choose this one and have cloning and destroyers or whatever. Now, I got to make sure that we don't choose those 4, but that's really what this is trying to get at. This is not picking which fallen house is going to be on the map. It's really just seeding the technology deck. Now, here's what I mean by that. So we have this is technology shields. So there's 2 cards here, which basically means that 2 houses can know this technology. The first house to obtain it is going to earn 4 influence. The second one doesn't earn any. But in both cases, if you have and I believe that's a Corvette present, you're going to gain 1 shield, which I think just simply means that it's going to be a lot harder to kill them. So it's actually a pretty cool technology. And I'm going to go through the setup, but the idea is that this technology will be one that's available for the other players to get. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. That's this. So let's say I chose House Valnus. Now this one is the same one with the shields, right? We just chose House Valnus to be fallen. But if you chose them as your house, you get to choose to start the game with shields tech or escape pods, but not both. The one that you choose is yours and only yours for advanced tech. And then you get the base tech and then the advanced tech, and then the card that's left over, the one without the influence, goes out into the public pool. and I can't remember like with the skate pods. We'll get to it, but I think the one you don't choose, either it gets into the pool or it's not in the pool at all or in the game at all. But when you're choosing, these are completely different setups. And what it's also showing you is how your home world and your extra world are set up. So actually this one's the home world and that's the extra world. So the home world's going to have a food plant, and then the extra world's going to have an energy and a materials. And then you're going to have a population of 2 in both of those worlds, and you're going to have 2 Corvettes starting in each world. And right there's the home symbol. Now if you're up here, look, it's different. Actually, that's actually identical, but you get 1 less ship if you choose escape pods. And then also you can see that there's you advance on your track here, and you also start with a trade token. And then I'd have to look up what that is. And then this here is your starting, this is just simple math. You got 2 populations, so you're going to have 2 factories. And then because this advanced by 1, that gives you a 3rd one. That's the reason why you have 3 here. And then you're going to start with 5 resources available to you. And so this is how much resources you start the game with, and this is how many manufacturing plants you start the game with. And we'll get into that some more, but this is you're going to choose one or the other if you choose to play as this house. And then of course you flip it over, and each house, these are agenda cards now, and so this house has you score points based on these scenarios, or you score points based on those scenarios. So the way you score points is completely different as well. There's a lot to choose when selecting your house, and being that I don't know what each of the houses does, it's insane for me. So so it says, read the technologies in the middle of the 4 chosen houses. These will be the 8 technologies for your scenario. So for example, House Volnus was escape pods and shields. So there's shields. Here's escape pods. So when I'm assuming that's lose a fleet power, lose a ship, you may instead move the fleet power to your home sector once during each combat. So pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna just take those texts out. And then for the next one, I think because I didn't sort or shuffle, these are gonna be in order. Data refinery, yep. And then targeting. And then for the next one, it should be energy cells and orbital ducts. And then for the last one, it'll be star bases and torpedoes. And that's fine. That just made going through the deck easier. But later in life, that will not be quite as easy. Now, they give you this thing. This is supposed to help you with your technology, but it's very large. And I don't know, you need to find table space for it. And that's my issue. So the whole idea here is you're supposed to be able to put, for example, your technology cards in like this. And it's just supposed to help you sort them. I like the idea, but considering how much table space is already consumed, it's too much. So I'm throwing it to the other end of my table, and we're just gonna jam them in here in front of us. So like that. Okay, so we picked the fallen houses first before we picked our own house, and that's okay. So now it's saying all scenarios feature 8 technologies. Find the ones for your scenario. Now again, if you're playing a competitive, it tells you the technology. You see right here where my thumb is? That's a big list of technologies. Those technologies are pre-chosen by the scenario. Also, the recommended houses to start the game is chosen. The fallen houses are chosen. I'm assuming that this list over here on the left lines up with the fallen houses. But you can see that the competitive has a lot more pre-chosen. Our scenario, which is here, has none of that. All it shows is the map and nothing more. So we got a lot more flexibility in a solo and co-op. So that's not bad. I actually don't mind that. Okay, so find the ones for your scenario. Each technology has 2 basic and 1 improved, a total of 3 cards each. That is true. So the basic cards are what we just drew, and then the improved version is here. So there's only 1 copy of those. Shields and escape pods, data refinery targeting, energy cells, orbital docks, starbase, torpedoes. So I'm going to grab all those now. And I think these are a separate deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay them in one pile right there, and then we'll just keep reading. So they're telling you to build a technology tableau. So for the tutorial, you know, they have a specific set. And then they're telling you to lay out the extra combat tokens based on the technology. Now this part I wish was a little more helpful. I don't know, like for example, this one has a Starbase's symbol. I feel like it's not focusing very well here. So it has a Starbase's symbol right there. And so maybe that's my clue that I need to look for. But let's find out. So we have I don't remember what technology this is, but it looks like a flying saucer. We also have this one, which looks like a tripod. And then we have that one, looks like a battleship looking thing. There's the star bases, right? So that one was going to come into the game. And then this one looks like, it actually looks like a Harrier jet. But let's see if I can find. So these are all the technologies in the game. So if I go through, right there is destroyers. See, so look how it has the extra symbol. So destroyers is this one. So if we have a destroyer tech in the game, then we add this to our board. There we go, dreadnoughts, right? It said battleships. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. There we go, sentries are the UFO looking things. Carriers are the tripod looking things. Makes sense. So we don't have, that's it. Okay, so so that makes sense. So yeah, that little symbol that's on the tech card actually is your key. So we only add right now this to our board. So we come over here and we add it here. So now when we're doing battle, there's approach rules. The installation, sector defense installation is going to trigger something, and then the starbase triggers something. But only if they exist, right? These technologies are in the game, but nobody has them yet. Now, I haven't picked what house I'm going to be. So if I pick the house that has destroyers, I will add this. I can pick the house that has carriers or sentries or dreadnoughts. We can pick those instead and then add those to the game. So that's really all the rules are. I haven't picked my house yet, but that's what we would do. Okay, place both copies of the 8 technologies on top of each other, with the one showing 4 influence on the top of the one with no. All it's saying, folks, is the first person to grab this technology gets 4 influence, the second one doesn't. I mean, it's just like any other game we've played. This is meant for multiplayer. So now I'm going to read the co-op solo version of this. In a solo game, randomly select 3 of the 8 technologies. Oh! In a 2-player co-op, randomly select 2. Return the top cards of those technologies to the box so that only the one with no influence remains. In a solo game, return the bottom card of the other 5 technologies so that only the copy with the influence remains. Oh, okay. All 5 are in the game, but we're going to pick 2 of them and have the top card disappear. That's what it's saying. 3 of them, I apologize. I'm just going to roll 2 dice. And I know this is 12, possible roll of 12. There's a 1 to 8, and we're just going to roll until, well, no, can't do 1 to 8. Dang it, I got to rethink this. I need an 8-sided die. That's what I need. Let me see what I got here. These are all D10s. Haha, here's a D8 right here. So, right there. Okay, so just starting at the top and going right. So just like a typewriter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so here's the first one. I rolled a 3. So 1, 2, 3. So this top card is out. It goes back into the technology pile. And then the next one is an 8. So that one's out. And then the third one is a 2. So this one's out. Okay, so what this did was, like I said, when you're the first to take a technology, you get the 4 influence points. Plus you get this bonus. What you get now is just the bonus and not the influence points. So for these ones, you're not going to get score any points for taking, for example, the targeting tech, or the energy cells, or the torpedoes. So I don't know, maybe that will incentivize us to focus on these 5. Like we can still get those 3, but they're not going to be as lucrative for us. That's the kind of stuff I think we have to contend with here. And then remember, there's these super advanced ones. You need the basic before you get the advanced, but let's keep going. So it's saying, if sentries, destroyers, dreadnoughts, carriers, or star bases place their matching combat tile, we got that. Shuffle the 8 improved technologies matching the basic, and place them in a face-down deck next to the Galactic board. So I'm going to do that right now. And I know where this is going, so I can show you as soon as I'm done shuffling here. So over here, these technology cards are going to get drawn and revealed here. In fact, I'm confident of it, so I'm going to just do it right now before I even get to the section. So we're going to reveal 4. So targeting, escape pods, energy cells, and data refinery. But here's the kicker. We don't use them in the first cycle. That's what this means. So this means for the first cycle, these are not available. But we know what they are. We're allowed to see what they are. You can't purchase one of those until the second cycle. So we got to go through like a whole first cycle of the game, and then in the second cycle we can start getting the advanced text. Okay? And then whatever ones we don't take are going to get flushed, and we're going to draw 4 more cards. So that's why there's a total of 8. We're going to see all the cards. We're going to have an opportunity to get any tech we want. It's just that the ones that aren't listed here, we're not going to be able to get those until cycle 3. That could impact our strategy if we're confident we can get that by cycle 2. Okay. Deal the top 4. Right? It's the very next step. Place the improvement block tile over it, right? Because you can't get it. Now, bear in mind, the innovation card is the one that's in our discard pile. And right here, invent is getting a tech. So I don't know, we'd have to look up what these mean, but I'm willing to bet that one of these is how we get it. And that's not an action that's available to us right now. If the scenario does not show sectors controlled by fallen houses, return all of them to the box. If a scenario contains sectors controlled by fallen houses, you handle it differently, competitive versus cooperative. I'm currently right here. I know the camera's sideways. In a competitive game, find the 4 fallen house cards that are listed. Yeah, because the scenario tells you. In a co-op or solo game, select the 4 fallen house cards that you chose before. And then shuffle the 4 cards and place 1 card face up in each of the fallen house sectors. We only have 1, so we're only going to pick one of these guys. And I don't know one from the other, so I couldn't tell you which one's an advantage or not. And then the population of those sectors is shown on the Fallen House card. So here is the card. I'm just going to put these aside. Where's my deck? Okay, yep. So the one I chose is it's going to be House Belatan. So House Belatan actually is going to be here. Like you put the whole card there. And then it shows this 2 here is population. And the population is going to be corrupted. Because they're a fallen house, so they're a corrupted house. So you put the 2 there. And then I think that's saying there's two sectors. Let's see. So in a competitive game, you don't use safe haven tiles. You don't use crisis or alert cards. So it's just basically saying that there's certain components you don't use in a competitive game. Joint focus and heroic focus. All difficulty setup aid cards. And Harbinger tokens that were not placed on the map. Okay, that's fine. We're good there. Okay. So now we're turning a page. Bob Seeger would be proud. All right. So now we do house setup. So we have to choose a house to play from the ones available in our scenario, which in our case is all of them, except for the 4 fallen houses. And then we have to get the mat and set it up. So I have no idea. I can spend many, many minutes on this if I wanted to. I don't know if I should. So let's start with what can't we choose? We can't choose Cortazar, Valnis, Dunlork, or Belatan. So Cortazar is out. I'm sorry, I got to pick these up. Valnis, out. Belatan, out. And Dunlork. Okay, I got them. So what's left is, of course, everything else. And it's a lot of choices, folks. So, the only advantage I have here is I saw in the gaming rules video, for example, they picked a race that had torpedoes. That gave them an edge in combat versus just having generic corvettes. So like we could do like a similar thing. We could say, hey, you know, because like I can look at all these fallen house cards and see, like, for example, House Zenor here has destroyers. Well, that's going to give me a competitive edge because those are better than the corvettes. This one does not have corvettes or anything, but I'm sure these are like industrial or other bonuses. So I think, you know, this is where you're really, you know, dictating what's your strategy going to be. Like if we chose Chivius, you got Dreadnoughts and look at this. See the little broken glass? The broken glass is always associated with a combat card. Oh, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. This one doesn't have one. I wonder what the broken glass represents. Like why the designer felt that that is different than something else. So like this one here has carriers, and I think those are pretty cool, the carriers. I saw them get used in the playthrough video. Although what they did was he bought the carriers. He didn't actually start with this race. This central surveillance is really cool, but you only get to pick one or the other. You don't get to pick both. I don't know. And maybe I should just quit obsessing over this because I really think that the choice here does matter. Because, you know, the scenario, you might have things in mind. The 8 technologies that have already been chosen. Like, for example, you look over there and you see all I have is star bases. but I do have shields. I have, because shields look really, like they look like you can absorb hits, which that makes your Corvettes tougher, right? Your Corvettes die after one hit, but if you have shields, now your Corvettes have hit points, and then torpedoes is in the game, so we could use torpedoes. So I don't have to pick carriers in this case because there are upgraded things, that's already available. I can tell you that my favorite way of playing is to be an industrial powerhouse. I don't know if industrial powerhouse, though, gets you anywhere in this game. But, like, what does deep space missiles do? And that's something I'm actually going to... Let's take a look at that. That looks like a cool technology. So, let's see. And that's another thing we can do, right? We can look at, these situations, like cloning. When you increase a population, you may gain 1 credit, or I think that's activate a fleet. So destroyers, right? You get to, when you build units, they can be destroyer fleets. Here, when you gain credits, or when you build a, looks like a credit manufactory, you first gain 2 credits. You may spend 1 material to increase your population. Oh, that's cool. That's not bad. Increasing population is lots of industry. You may store up to 2 corruption on this card. And then you may discard, during evaluation, you may, I think that's move corruption. I'll have to look that up. But that's cool, because putting corruption on this card means it's not in the game, and then you can use it to score points or whatever. Dreadnoughts, for a cost of 1 material per fleet power, they're limited to maximum power 1, which means you can only have 1 cube. You can't have a 3-cube dreadnought. Hyperdrive, when you invade, you may first, I think, move 5 spaces. Tactical transports, you may decrease the population to increase the population somewhere else in the same sector. I got to look at that, what the dice down means. Let's see, arc ships. You may establish up to 2 additional, those are manufactories on your home sector, not occupying the usual guild spaces. Oh, they're called guilds. I keep forgetting. You may establish 2 additional guilds on your home sector, not occupying the usual. So that's total manufacturing powerhouse there. Robotics. You can double the cost and effects of one of your focus actions. When you build an installation, you may instead put a sentry in the same sector. Interesting. Here we go. Deep space missiles. Invader. If you have 1 or more adjacent star bases or ship building yards, you may spend 1 energy to deal 1 damage. Prosperity focus. You may spend 1 material to build a shipyard. That's not horrible. There's a little bit of... See, star bases are in our game. So we could actually use deep space missiles along with star bases and get some stuff done. The carriers, I've actually seen, carriers produce it doesn't say it here, but what they do is they produce one of your Corvettes every battle. And I think it says it on the combat thingamajig. All right, so I'm spending a lot of time on this because for whatever reason I feel like I have to win my first game. I need to look that up. Is that move or destroy? So let's do this. Where it is. Boy, if I had any hopes of doing this in just 1 hour, I am totally lying. Okay, give me a second. I'm looking up on our sheet here. Here we go. It's remove a corruption. So right there in the middle, where it says corruption, you can see that the top one just says you get a corruption. That's what the corruption symbol. The little arrow pointing down is place a corruption or gain one. The other one is remove. And then to move a corruption, it's got just arrows on the bottom. And then, the little slash symbol means it can't be corrupted. And then you can see there's a lot of other symbols. But that answers our question. So we can just flat up remove a corruption with the purifier. I don't know how easy or hard it is to remove corruption any other way, but maybe we should pick the race that has purifiers. That's just my guess. I'm looking here. Autonomous drones. Cybernetics. When you build a guild, you may gain 2 resources matching that guild. Oh, that's cool. When you win a combat, you may, I think it's, you're not seeing what I'm seeing here. It looks like you can discard a bounty and retain all, there you go. You may discard a bounty and retain all that lets you retain all the installations. So, because otherwise when you win a battle, all the installations get destroyed, but let's say they had a star base or whatever, you get to keep the star base in this case. Okay, this is all very, very good. I'm still no closer to picking my... All right, let me pause. I'm gonna do some more analysis paralysis. I'll be right back. Okay, so let me just say, I didn't spend that much time analysis paralysing this. I will take you through where my mind was going. First of all, there's a lot of nuance to this. So let me just explain. The first nuance is the technologies, of course, can be powerful. So for example, you can pick a race because you want carriers. There's really no flaw in that kind of logic, right? But this one, their population size is 2 and 2. So that means you have two food guilds, right? Which is going to probably only produce 1 food, and then 2 of each of these. But look at this one here. That's 2, 3. So now I'm producing 3 energy, or I have 3 energy guilds. I'm assuming that's going to produce 2 energy. But the point is, the more guilds you have, the more you produce. So having a higher population means something. And so maybe your techs, well, actually that's a carriers. There's the carriers right there. So you get a nice population with them. But as you can see, you don't have any food at all. And by the way, to build a carrier, you need food. That's so funny. So they start you with a food deficit. And you're going to probably have to build a food guild right away. So that way you can start building those carriers, because a carrier costs of food to build. So it is interesting how there's always a deficit in everything. Now, after I got past that piece, the next thing I looked at is just, what do you start with? Like this guy starts with 5 food, 5 science. I mean, that's pretty good. And then look at that one, 7 food, and then 3, 3, 5, 5. I mean, that's a really good, and then cybernetics. So maybe that's the right way to go, right? Then I looked at House Marcalos. Why? Because House Marcalos, so when you pick whichever one you're going to do, you then flip it over, and that's how you score points, right? Throughout the game. This is your leftmost agenda. Remember, you can have 4 total agendas. This is your leftmost one. And anyways, you're going to either have A or B. Well, Marcarlos comes with an extra agenda that does not take an agenda slot. It just goes side by side with it. So if you choose B, you're going to score points for all those things. Now look at this. You're going to have extra, what do you call that? Upkeep. But you can now score points here and here in addition to all this. So my first thoughts was Harsh Marcarlos is just more chances to score points. So if I'm playing a solo game and it's all about points, why would I not do this? But then I looked closer and I saw that, for example, the trade nexus, which is the one I liked from a technology, look at that. You start with a population of 1 and then 2, and it's corrupted on top of it, which is insane. So, so the designer did a great job, I think, of, you think you're getting an advantage, but then you're not. Although it does look like, you get some extra bonus stuff here. Like here you start with a trade token. And then here you start with a trade and a bounty, and you advance on your civilization track. There's all kinds of nice bonuses with this one. I'm not saying you can't win with this. I actually think it might work. I just thought it looked more complicated the more I looked into it, the more complicated it seemed to get. So then I was like, I'll back off. So then I just went with which technology makes the most sense and lines up with my playstyle, and I chose arc ships. Arc ships is so simple. You can establish up to 4 additional guilds on your home sector, not occupying usual guild spaces. I mean, why would I not? I mean, it's just basically, I could become an industrial powerhouse with this thing. Well, it's actually 2 additional, but then the advanced one is 4. So you could just, basically your home sector can just produce everything that you need to play the game. And you don't have to worry about what's in the other sectors. So it's simple. Like, it's a simple-minded thing. So I figured, let's try that. Now, to get the arc ships means that I'm choosing B instead of A, which is robotics. Now, robotics, I think, was pretty darn cool, too. That's what I'm so excited about this game. Like, I'm already wanting to play my second game, and I haven't even started my first. So, but what I do with arc ships is I get a population of 3 and 2, and then we're going to set up our home world with all these parameters. Now, the drawback to this is look at how low my resources are at the start of the game. I got next to nothing. But the whole point of arc ships is that I'm going to be cranking out the resources. So as long as I focus some of my first cycle on getting my industry going, I should be fine. So I'm going to choose House Nervo. I may regret this choice. And I'm sure there's certain races here that are going to definitely not be my playstyle. But we'll go ahead and try this Nervo out. And I got to pick up the camera, move you over here. Got to get rid of the book for at least temporarily. And then, so right here. So here's our strategies, right? So if we went with robotics, focus on establishing guilds and building installations. Ensure a steady supply of materials, invest in sector defenses. For B, focus on full stockpiles and guild diversity. Well, what's stockpiles? I'll have to look. Build an economic powerhouse in your home sector, right? I already know that's a strategy. Overproduce as much as possible. So, that's right, because if you overproduce, meaning if you have 15 of a resource and you produce more, because here, let me show you the dial. The dial only goes to 15. If you ever produce more than 15, good things happen to you. I can't remember what, but you get stuff. So that's why it's saying overproduce as much as possible, because I think you can score points that way. Now, what's interesting is the complexity is a 3 out of 4, which I don't know why, but we'll find out. Now, the other thing it tells you is you have a special ability. We can spend materials as food or energy, which is cool. And then we're going to get, instead of conquest, we're going to get uplift card. And then we get a special production card, which does not surprise me at all. So let's put our sheet in. Slide her down, like so. Move the camera back. And then we put our 3 trackers. So all it's showing is that we're just leftmost. And then as we advance, we're going to get these different bonuses. And yeah, I'm going to go back to the book. I'll go step by step because the book's going to tell me what to do. I know some of the stuff I need to do, but we'll just take it through. All right, so we placed the mat down. Players decide beforehand how they want to distribute houses among themselves. Yeah, so you could like say, hey, we're going to randomly pick 3 and then, you know, whatever. If your house comes with a special focus card, swap them as necessary. Yeah, so now we got to go through the focus list. So I put those cards down somewhere. Now I got to remember where I put them. Oh, Jeff, I would lose my head if it wasn't attached, folks. What did I do with those focus cards? I don't think I put them back in the... Oh. No. Did I really put them back in the box? Nope, I did not. So where did you put them, Jeff? They are in front of me somewhere. So they're going to be big focus cards. They look like this. Those ones there are the heroic focus. I mean, it's a big stack of them. Because there's a lot of like special, oh, I put them here. Because remember, we were supposed to put each house there. Yay. Okay. So it tells you here. So we're house Nervo. So there's production card and the uplift card. And the rest of these I'm going to put back. So it tells you, for example, I think this just replaces the production card. And then this is going to replace Conquest. And it's now a new thing called Uplift. So that's an interesting, I guess I don't really go to war with these people or what. So that Conquest is out of the game. And we replace it with this. And then production. See, look. So we have a production one here that moves us on the top track. But this one moves us on the bottom track. I don't know what good that does. But then we're also gaining materials. And then here, it looks like you're producing all your goods. And then here, so this lets you move all 3 of your tracks. Very interesting. And then that one lets you remove a corruption. So I don't know, like, is this a better production card? It looks like it might be. I mean, but look here, I mean, you have to spend more to do these actions, but I'm not, judgment shall be reserved. So both of these cards, which are normally used by the yellow player, are now out. So I don't know where best to put that, so I'll remember, but I'll put it right over here. This is a lot, folks. And this is just setup. So let's keep going. And like I said, the tabletop simulator has this. You don't have the rulebook in front of you. And I did contemplate like doing this on the computer. The issue is that since the rulebook is not on the application, I can't show you what the rules say. I know sometimes my camera's sideways and it's distorted, but I can at least show you, where it says it and why. But it's going to be a lot more difficult on the tabletop simulator. But considering how long and how fiddly the bits are, this is a fiddly game. Now, granted, once you set it up, maybe it's not so bad, but there's a lot. Okay, let's keep going. So we did the special house focus cards. put a corruption marker over the rightmost agenda slot. So all that means, folks, is you got 4 agenda slots at the bottom, and you put a corruption marker on the 4th one. Now, what does that mean game-wise? If I had an agenda here, it will not score points as long as that corruption marker is there. So, and that's true for all the agendas. So if I get a corruption marker on the other agenda spots, I just can't score points. Okay. 3 civilization track markers. Take the 2 origin cards belonging to your house, select one, and return the other to the box. Okay, so we said we were going to take the arc ships, which is this one. And so we're going to put robotics back in the box, which that one looked pretty cool too. Okay, keep going. Take your selected card in front of you. You'll set it in your personal play area for the next steps. Do not gain any technology benefits if your track advances. Yeah, this is very important. So normally when your track advances, like for example, this says 2 energy credits, right? So if you move there, you get 2 energy credits. But right now, if you get a track advancement as a result of this card, you don't get the bonuses because these starting resources over on the left factor all that in. So you do technically get them. It's just that if you set everything according to what it shows on the card, you don't get them twice, is what it's trying to say. Okay, so place the basic technology card showing 4 influence in one of the technology slots on the top of your mat. So this is another one. We start the game with 10 influence. So that 10 influence includes the 4 influence here. So see how you get plus 4 influence and then you get this action over here on the right? We don't get any of that because we already have the technology. It just slides in and we don't actually get the bonus is all it's trying to say. Okay, place the improved technology card next to your house mat. So there's a improved tech that we can't research and we're just putting it over here on the side. It's reserved for us, meaning nobody else can take it, only we can. Let's see, in a 3 or 4 player game, the other basic tech card goes into the tableau. But we're not doing that. In a solo or 2 player game, return the other technology card to the box. So nothing happens with the other tech, that's fine. If your technology has a matching combat tile, yep, we place it. We do not have that. Keep going. All right. Pick the home sector on the map that is closest to where you sit. There's only one. And some houses use custom sectors. I didn't even check that. So our symbol is this little shield. See, we're the shield on top of the spinning top, or the tack. We are definitely not a special home sector, so we're just going to have a regular home sector, and that goes right here. And I need to be careful because I'm bumping into my player board. So now I got to move everything up without destroying it. There we go. Wow, this is a table hog for sure. Okay. So this right here is our home sector, and that's going to be our other sector. And that's going to be represented by this. So I can already tell you that this being our home sector, we're going to have a population of 3 and then 2 on the other. We're going to have a material guild, another material guild, and a food guild. And then we're going to have 1 corvette and 2 corvettes in terms of fleets. I got to read what this other, like this will be our starting resources and whatever. And then I got to read what the middle piece is. That's the piece. But we'll do it in order here. Yep, so we're going to place a population die of our player color. So the home sector gets a 3, So we take this 3, we put it right there, and it's not corrupted. And see right here, that symbol says not corrupted. It can never be corrupted, the home sector. Otherwise, it'd be a weird game. And then a standard population die on our outpost. So the outpost gets a 2. It's also not corrupted, but it can be corrupted. Right now, it's not. Place the indicated type of fleet tokens. So again, I gotta grab these. We're gonna grab 2 of them, and then 2 of those. And then we're using player fleets now, which they look very similar to the VoidFall. They're just that. So let me get these. Move the camera out of the way so my arms can work better. And get this thing assembled. Sometimes I don't know which way to orient the ship. Because like when I look inside of there, it just looks like a regular hole. And I don't see like, so like I feel like I'm forcing it. And I don't want to break this plastic. It feels like it can break. All right, and then this is just, I gotta look down and orient it properly. And there you go. So there's 1 and 2. You know, I was like making fun of the fact that the gaming rules video for this is like an hour and a half long, and I've fallen asleep like 3 times watching it. I can't imagine you guys watching my videos. How many times you guys fall asleep doing that? Holy crap. All right. We'll have to start playing like lullaby music and stuff. Okay, so these cubes represent our fleet power. So we know that there's 2 fleet power on one and only 1 on the other. And then the rest of the cubes are gonna go in here. Oh, and I think that's what that 2 means. I think that 2 means that 2 of them go there. We'll verify that, but I think that's what that middle 2 right here means. So we'll verify that. Right now we're just doing the fleets. So there's 1, the fleet of 1 strength is in our home world, and then the 2 strength is here. Okay. Next, we're going to do the guild tokens. So again, you can see there's a material guild in both, and then a food guild in the other one. And these things are double-sided, so it's a little annoying. All right, so the home territory gets a material guild, and then this territory has a food and a material. All right, so this is 2, and that's 2, right? And then this over here is 3, so we should have a material of 5 and a food of 2 on our guild track. And sure enough, there's 2 food and 5 material. So you can see how these numbers are reflecting what's on the board without you actually having to calculate it all. It's all pre-calculated for you. Okay, then it's saying place any indicated installations. That would be like a star base or things of that nature. I don't think there is, although I do need to look up, like, what is that? So it's got like a up arrow, and it looks like a pillar. So let me look that up. Oh, wow. So let me show you what that is. It is, that up arrow with the pillar is the wealth agenda. So I think it's saying we get a wealth agenda which I don't know where I draw it from. Like, is it blindly from the top? So let's dig in here. Maybe it'll tell us. So we don't get any installation tokens. Place indicated corruption under population die. That's fine. We don't get any of that. Let's see. Adjust the dials. We'll take care of that in a second. Sometimes a plus sign is shown next to a number in the left column. Your production is higher than what your guilds would normally provide. Okay, that's just telling you. Adjust the dials on the right. Place the number of fleet power cubes in the active area on your map. Okay, so that is, yeah, that is the 2. So that is the fleet power. All right, so let's do the dials. So I'll let you look again real quick. We just need to replicate that. So we have 2 food, which means we're producing 1. And then we have 5 total food to start the game. And then the 0, this one is a 5, which is 3 production. And let's see, the energy is 3. This is 3. Credits 3. And then science 3. Okay, so yeah, we only start with those few things, and all right. That wealth agenda thing is the thing that has me thrown off a little bit. Oh, here we go. It's going into the other ones now. So let's see. Place all fleet power cubes that remain in your personal supply into the inactive area, which is here. There might be other special instructions on your origin card. Find the explanations for them on the special origin steps image here on this page. And I do. So like, there's a whole bunch of them we were looking at here. Like this top one, A, I believe is advancing a track. And then B is the one we have, except it's a different symbol. It's the wealth symbol. And then C would be move a, I'm guessing that's move a corruption. And that D is destroy a corruption or remove one. E would be, I would say, you get to upgrade one of your glory tokens. And then F, yeah, I don't need to guess. Let's just read them. So, I guess I don't know what F is. Let's see. Flip your origin card. That's your starting agenda. All right. So let's go through. So A was advance the civilization track. So yeah, we got that. Take the top face down agenda card from the indicated agenda offer into your hand. Okay, so we get that in our hand. All right, yeah. So that one I didn't know was take that number of bounty tokens. Okay, so this becomes our agenda card. And again, so it has a, if I have 8 or more guilds, for every 8 or more guilds, I believe that's saying I'm going to gain 3 points. And here for an uncorrupted, it looks like 3 guilds that aren't equal, I get 5 points. So for every, so this one is just 8. You know what? I bet that's resources. For 8 or more resources, I'm going to get 3 for each. Yeah, for every resource I have 8 or more, I'm going to get 3. Yeah, we can look these up. We can look these up. I don't need to guess. But boy, oh boy, you can see how like it gets complicated fast. So your friend here is actually going to be the glossary. So the glossary has all the agenda cards and house cards. Now, finding them, not always easy. So first things first, what's our house ability? It says, anytime except when satisfying upkeep, you may spend material instead of food or energy. So it's just like having credits. For House Navarus, we're doing the B side. It says gain 3 influence for each of your pure sectors with 4 or more population. That is not what, oh, we're not Novaris. We're, my apologies. We're Nervo, not Novaris. I was actually thinking of taking Novaris. Here we go, Nervo. Gain 3 influence for each resource type that you have 8 or more of in your stockpile. So I did get that one correct. Took me a while. Gain 5 influence for each of your pure sectors with 3 or more guilds, or at least 3 guilds are of different type. So your home sector for sure is going to get that. But you need 3 different sectors, or 3 different guilds, and for every sector that satisfies that, you get 5 points. So having it in just your home guild will get you 5 points, and then of course you can possibly get more as you go. Okay, so I don't know if I probably should slide it under. It's just the problem I have is I don't want to bend the card, of course. So I'm going to put it here. This little symbol here means that it can never be corrupted. So by sliding it under, you're making sure that that doesn't get covered up. Okay, so then we get an agenda that's put in our hand. So what we do is we come over here to the wealth agenda. We just grab the one on top. And so here's the thing. This is in our hand, meaning that we have to play one of these 2 actions cards. And if we play these, then that allows us to take this action. And then you can see there's a little symbol there. That's a wealth symbol. And as long as there's no other wealth symbol here, we can slide this card under, and now we got another agenda. So this is in our hand, meaning we can choose to play this at any time. So what is this? This is if you have 2 or more trade tokens, then we just get 3 points. And then this one here is for, I believe, every sector with no upkeep. Ooh, that's a good question. What is that? I think that's every sector with no upkeep, we get 3 points. That's a tough one. The hardest part, well, okay, so that symbol is definitely upkeep. And then, of course, it's got a 0 next to it. So, and then, of course, the other symbol is purified, meaning no corruption. So for every pure 0 upkeep, but that's the part I don't understand, is like, what does that mean? So it's called trade monopoly. So let's get out our glossary again. I know they have everything broken out. So here we go. So we have wealth. Then this is trade monopoly. Gain 3 influence if you have 2 or more trade tokens. Got it. Gain 3 influence for each of your poor sectors that do not add to your upkeep. Okay, we nailed it. And I apologize, because I know some of you are like, Jeff, why don't you read the rules first and then do this? I'm just basically demonstrating how to learn the game, because that's difficult. The symbology can be tricky. But I guess as we do more and more of this, it'll become more apparent. So yes, that's in our hand. And believe it or not, I think we're getting done with the setup here. I know it seems like forever. Yeah, and so now it's jumping into the tutorial. And boom, we are done with setup. We can actually start our game. So I got some more rule reading to do, folks. There's some things that I demonstrated, hopefully to you, that I understand the concepts. But playing the game is another level. So basically, the way it's going to work, I can tell you this much. We're going to draw an event card from this deck. It's going to go here. And in cycle 1, we're going to skip the A, B, and C on that board over there. And then, the 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to just do the event card. Then the event card, I'm going to just look at the bottom one, because we're not drawing that one. See how it says 4x on the top right? That 4x means that we're going to get to take 4 turns, which means we're going to get to play 4 of these cards before that cycle ends. So just to give you that idea. So we'll be able to go through 4 of these cards, and whatever we want to accomplish, we have to accomplish in those 4 turns. And then after the 4 turns are over, we do some basic cleanup stuff, and there's some crisis card management, because like, remember I said we have to mitigate crisis cards? So you got 4 turns basically to do that. And then step C there, which is over on the right, that's all the Voidborn's turn. So that's where the enemy, does stuff to hurt us. And it's also when we start scoring points. That's also a part of that step C. So I know this was a very long video. Thank you for surviving it, I guess. It's quite the game. Just setting it up, definitely a long time. Now, could I have gone a little faster? Of course. Did I really need to read step by step through the rulebook? Yes, and my opinion, yes, I did. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. If you're one of those people who can just are good enough where you understand the rules well enough that you don't even need to read anymore, I mean, that's fantastic. But I'm not there yet. And then, of course, this is your turn order. I'm the only one, but I put the token there just for posterity. I'm excited. So we got this race. We're going to have these action cards. Again, just to give you a peek, look at the symbology. Every action is, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? So you got to pull out the glossary and look up all these cards. So we got a lot of work on our hands, folks. But I think we're ready. And I mean, I can't say whether or not I like the game. All I did was just set it up. I feel like I played a game. That's like the amount of work to set this up. I feel like I've already just played a game. I'm ready to go smoke a cigar now and I could celebrate. Anyways, want to say happy birthday to my son, Joshua. He is 20 years old today. He's a cadet at West Point. So I didn't get to see him today. We did chat on the phone a little bit. Not for as much as I would have liked. I miss him very much. Of course, I'm very proud of him. And he's very far from home right now, and we know that he's doing good work, and he's at a great place. So very, very proud of him, and happy birthday to you, Josh, who at this time of the night is well in bed and sleeping, but still want to wish him a happy birthday nonetheless. And for everybody else, thank you for watching, and as always, stay awesome.